Here we go. Hello, everyone. Apparently, according to YouTube, we are live. There's this big thing that comes up on my screen that says, "You're live." I'm like checking my polls, checking my, I think I am. Oh, that's A live. Hi, everyone. How are we? It's the pre-show if you're just joining us. The pre-show this is the best part of the show, the pre-show, because we just do muck around stuff. I'm hoping that Andy's coming. He did say he was coming. And apart from that, if he doesn't come, that's fine. We can just have Henrik and me. How you going, Henrik? Yeah. How's your week been?
Tough. New Year's Eve, all the week, Christmas and New Year's Eve is tough, and today it's the son's birthday. He's getting 18 years old.
Oh wow! So he's the same. Yeah. He's the same year as my son, but my son doesn't turn 18 until right at the end in November. So we've got the same age sons. It's weird, isn't it? It's like a surreal feeling that your children are now becoming adults. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Is that your first 18-year-old, or you've had more before,
or? Once more, I was trying to start the stream so I could see the chat. Please repeat.
Oh, I just said, is that your only child that's turned 18, or have you got other children?
Actually, I don't have any. It's my wife's son.
Okay.
I don't think I have any.
Not that you know of.
not what I know.
I like that one. That is cool.
So, yeah, I would love to have some, but I don't know. So, that's okay.
You just borrow hers.
Yeah.
They're easier, those ones. You don't have to go through the.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
No, I never had to change the diapers and such.
Oh, okay, good.
That was good.
That's what I was about to say. I had to do that with all my three. Yes. It's okay. You get over it. It's fine. We got a few people in the chat room already, so it's good. Not sure if Andy is coming or not. He did say he was going to. Trying to connect, but it's not having it. No idea why. I'll keep trying. Okay. It's having connection problems. Let's try this. HTTPS. So Andy's trying to connect, and we'll just try and sort him out while we're doing that. That's why we have a pre-show. It does say he's logged in, but we're not getting any camera. Okay, so
he's saying he's trying to connect. Keeps asking him to reconnect.
Says it's logged in, but he's not actually active. Interesting. Very interesting. Who knows what it could be anyway? I mean, obviously it works for you, works for me. It's got to be his end, but we'll keep persevering with him anyway. Yeah. Anyway, Happy New Year to everybody who is. Sorry, I'm just getting kind of distracted with Andy's messages. Happy New Year to everyone who is in the chat room, and obviously to you, Henrik, as well. It's the 2nd of January now, so we've survived a day already of 2021. It kind of still doesn't feel any different to 2020 at the moment, does it? But we're all kind of crossing our fingers and hoping that it's going to be a better year. Yes. The gremlins are striking for Andy. Yeah, interesting. Okay, I've just got to keep an eye on talking to Andy as well as this at the same time. But yes, we can do that. I can do everything. He is actually in the chat room as well, so you guys can see that. So that's good. So we've got 29 people already. Those who are lurking, please join the chat room and say hi. We don't bite. It's a friendly channel here. If you are new, I'd love to say hi to you. It is a new year, so maybe come out of the shadows. It's a time to do something different this year. If you've ever been on my channel before and you're thinking to yourself, oh, he's doing live streams. Yeah, I've been doing live streams now for almost 2 years. So we're coming up to, what are the show now? 97, episode 97. So we've got 3 more episodes to go, and we'll hit the famous 100, the ton. 100. That's going to be a good show. So, and that doesn't quite mark the 2-year spot, but it's pretty close to it. So we might as well sort of call it that. But yeah. Andrew's going to reboot. Good. That's a good idea. Might take a few minutes. That's so fine. That's fine. We've got 9 minutes before the main show starts, and we've even had people join in after that anyway. So I'll keep an eye on everything. Haven't seen Darren. I did email him. Haven't heard anything back. I know he's still around because he's been posting stuff on his YouTube channel. So don't know where he is, people. So if you guys know where he is, slap him for me. But anyway, that's fine. The show can go on without Darren. We do miss him though, that's for sure. And it's awesome that Henrik's here. So for those who don't know Henrik, he's the JX3D. Let's put it in brackets there for you guys. So you may know him in the chat room as JX3D. And he's coming all the way from Copenhagen in Denmark. Isn't that cool? I love this. I love this stuff. This is awesome. And is it nice and chilly cold up in Denmark at the moment, Henrik?
I don't know. It's outside.
Studios are never
it's okay
cold,
inside.
Yeah, studios are never cold. All the gear.
No, it's not that cold. I think it's around between 0 and +5.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Celsius, and it's not cold.
That is not too bad. Now, I forgot to update my phone on this. I might do this quickly because I actually wanted to chuck a couple of pictures up that I saved. That's why I didn't do it, because I wasn't on Wi-Fi. There you go. Google. Right. Let's just keep an eye on the chatties. 25, yeah, it's dropped a bit. Oh no, back to 29. Cool. You guys didn't invite your mum. That's how come I know. I always say, tell your mum. It's just a joke. But everyone seems to think I'm just after the numbers. But it is important to make sure that, we get a nice group of people here. And I'm not after thousands. I'm just after a decent, healthy group. Okay, that's updated. Good. Now I can download some photos. I was talking about weather, and hopefully this is it. Beautiful. Let's download this. So it gets pretty hot, Henrik, in my part of the world, and I think you probably realize that. Today it was about 36 degrees, and I don't know, I was just out the backyard and I was playing with my synth, and got so hot that it melted. How's that, eh? Just kidding.
Our synths break because of the cold.
Yeah, the opposite. They shatter.
Yeah.
I need to keep an eye on Andy if he's coming back in while I was mucking around being stupid. I haven't heard from him yet. Okay, that's good or bad or both. Anyway, it's been a nice steady sort of mid-30s. I think I mentioned on the Christmas stream or the one just after that it got to about 40 for about 3 days in a row. So it does get quite warm here, and there's a bit of sweat on the old forehead. So yeah, you do get used to it. But one thing that's good about it is that you go outside in shorts. Yeah, everywhere you go, you're wearing shorts, and you wear thongs. Like Xils-labs likes to tell everyone. And right now, I've got no shoes on. I'm just barefoot. It's brilliant. Barefoot walking around the house, fantastic.
Barefoot,
none of this socks.
Yes.
None of this socks business. So yeah. And yeah, as you guys probably realized, it's the pre-show, and we are going to hit the magic button in about 5 minutes to start the main show. Yes, we are going to be talking about the Polyend Tracker. So hopefully there's some people that are interested in that. I actually find it intriguing. I find it very, very intriguing indeed. So yeah, we'll be going into that, but also there's a bit of news. We already know the news that's been leaked. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. So most people sort of find out these things, but if you didn't, I'm not going to give it away just yet. So you never know, you might hear it here first. So people are talking in chat, and let's just have a little quick look. So George is saying he's in North Wales. There's snow on the mountains, but nothing where I am. It's plus 4 degrees at the moment. There you go. That's not bad. So there's a lot of people on this show that are from Europe and the UK and Ireland and Scotland and those sort of places. So it must be that time of the day which gets into that part of the world. I know it's a bit early in the US, like it's about 9 a.m., almost about to hit 9 a.m. in the eastern states of the US. So some people don't like to get up that early in the US. But if you're in the US, sing out, say hi. I know there's a few people that come onto the show that's in the US. So yeah, beautiful. Thank you, Future World. Happy New Year to you. I will go through all of you and say hello to you individually if I get a chance just after the main show starts. It's something that I always like to do. There we go. Stu's just jumped in and says, I'd love a fixed Polyend tracker, more sample memory, more than anything. Yeah, we'll talk about that. I'm not going to give any of that stuff away just yet, but definitely we'll get a chance to talk about that. Still no Andy. Let's just go over here to see what he's doing. Yeah, still no Andy. So we're still waiting on him. And awesome to see all the Happy New Years and everyone saying hi to everyone. That's cool. Beautiful. All right. Well, 3 minutes to go and we'll start the show. Yeah, so if you're watching this on replay, what I'll probably do is I will re-edit this and upload it. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I haven't been doing that lately. It's been a bit of a pain in the ass, to be honest. Not really sure whether I want to do that for every single show. It becomes quite tedious to edit 2.5 hours worth of video. It can be quite big video files, like you're sort of looking at 4 or 5 gigabytes worth of video files. So yeah. We've got Sergio coming in from Brazil, so it must be pretty early in the morning there for Sergio. That's pretty cool. Mark said it's about 4 degrees where he is. Yeah, probably is. Probably is. I can handle 4 degrees. I don't find that too cold. It depends, because you've got there's kind of two temperatures, isn't there? There's how cold it feels and the actual real temperature, because sometimes the chill factor can be quite nasty. So if you get the real cold sort of stuff, that can be quite nasty. Yeah, and it's the same with hot weather as well. You can have like a 30-degree day and it feels like, it's because of humidity and stuff, it just feels really heavy and you just feel lethargic. So yeah, we're talking weather. Why are we talking weather? Anyway, I'm sure everyone's got their own weather stories. 11 a.m. in Brazil. Okay, cool. It might be a little bit further across on the time zones. I actually didn't get out my world map to work that out. That's cool. It's a good time. At least you've had a little bit of a sleep in anyway. 1 minute to go. I think we can play this. Let's go. Well, hello everyone. Welcome to another Saturday and welcome to another show. This is episode number 97 and I've started calling it the Synth Geekery. I just got really kind of bored with calling it live stream. I think it was kind of pretty stupid actually. Anyway, so if you're wondering what Synth Geekery is about, it's about synths and samplers and sequencers and Eurorack and everything like that, music technology, and hopefully you can stick around and join us. And the first person I'd like to say g'day to, who's joined us on the camera side, is Henrik. A big hello to you. How's your week been?
Oh, it's been hard, but now it's over, almost. Still having a week of holiday, and I will enjoy that.
Well, a big happy new year to you, and hopefully you had a nice festive season. Any synths under the Christmas tree for you?
No, nothing. Almost nothing.
Oh, okay.
I got some I don't know what it's called, Christmas balls you hang on the tree. I got some for the beard. That's what I got.
You got balls for your beard. Oh, geez. That could be quite tricky. Oh, looks like we've got an Andy here. Let's see if we've got Andy. He's managed to join us, and I can't hear him. Nope. Oh, what happened? No, it's back.
Can you hear?
We can hear you.
Hear me?
Yes.
Right.
Oh.
What?
Oh, it's back.
This is such an arse.
I don't know what's going on there, Andy, but you've frozen there. So we'll probably come back to you in a sec. But no, it's good to see him. Anyway, so awesome to have. We'll see if Andy keeps trying to get on the show. That's cool. He's still frozen according to the screen that I can see that you guys can't see yet. But what we'll do is we'll get stuck into the show. Now, if you've never watched this show before, we have like a main topic, which is obviously the Polyend Tracker. We will get to that. It usually happens a little while down the track, pardon the pun. But we do have regular segments that we have on this show every week, and I've never been told off for doing these, so obviously they stay until someone tells me to get rid of them. We'll start with this one. Roll the stinger. Yes, it's the funny side, and if you're wondering what this is, we just kind of scour the interwebs for stupid memes about synth and synth-related stuff. And starting off this week, we have this one for you. Yes, thank you, Henrik. Can't wait to try this new Russian guitar effect pedal. Don't have much info on it, though it was sent to me as a gift from a secret admirer. It says TM57 on it. Probably stands for Tone Master 57. Yeah. Yeah. It's got a nice tone. Yeah, like it's very bombastic, that tone. What do you think? That's a good one. Fantastic. All right. This is what everyone's New Year resolution was. I'm only buying one more synth, and then we've got the fact check. Nothing like a bit of fact check. That's a good one. Yes. More. There's more. Oh, this one was good. I like this one. Special offer, 40% off crates, because everyone needs crates to hold their synths up. You guys remember that concert? I think you guys should know who that band is. Pretty famous.
Yeah.
And last but not least, good old Tickle Fingers, Bobby Claus. Just check out his left hand if you're not sure why I'm showing this. Hey, have a look at the names of the tracks on this. The famous 12-digit sound, Tickle My Heart, Fingers of Love, Handyman, Born to Feel. It's just gold. Anyway, so I just thought that one had to come in. That was getting a little bit risque. But yeah. Now, do we have Andy yet? Well, we could have Andy. We could have him. We do. We have his head. Andy, have you got sound?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
We can, but it's very quiet.
Can you hear me? It's very quiet.
You need to come up a bit. While we're sorting out Andy's sound.
I haven't touched anything at all.
Maybe move the mic a bit closer to your gob.
I'm just bloody swallowing it.
There's a line in that. There's a line in that too. Nice to have you, Andy. I might actually quickly jump to you.
Maybe there is.
And wish you a happy new year and ask you how your week's been.
Yeah, happy new year, everyone. Yeah, I don't know what's been going. I've not touched anything in here. I don't know why it's all gone to pot. So, oh, that camera. What was it? Hello, camera. How was my new year? Was very quiet. I didn't do an awful lot. In fact, I stayed in and watched crap on telly. This camera's going rubbish, isn't it? It used to be all right. Now it's terrible. Oh well, never mind. New camera for the new year, then maybe.
Yeah. Now I've got you plus 6 dB here. I've pumped you up a fair bit. So
No idea what's going on there. Let me just have it.
whoa, what was that? I had that beeping.
Just hang on a second.
We'll hang on a sec while Andy's doing that. Hey, why don't we keep going with the segments? We've got
Better.
oh, that's a lot louder.
Is that better now?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. I was messing around on a few synths and was overloading the sound. I've turned the input down, which means the microphone's low again. So is that? Can you hear me now better? Is that all right?
Yeah, it is. But I might have to. You're actually a bit low, so I'm going to take your name tag out for now, so we can see your face.
Well, I was just going to play with that little bit next.
Oh, okay.
About the pitch mode thing, my wife told me to wear something else than black today, so I chose grey.
Oh, okay, so you don't blend in too much. Yeah, that was clever. That was very clever of the wife. Let's see if Andy's face is cut off. That's a bit better. There you go.
Oh, yeah, I don't know what happened to that. Probably nudged it while I was dusting or something. Yes, I do that sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, there's lots of dust in studios, so that's fine. So, yeah, as we said, how's your week been?
Yeah, it's been all right. I mean, very uneventful because there are no events. There's absolutely nothing to do. Although I did this morning, I went out to do a bit of shopping, and on my way back, I was looking across the city of Sheffield onto the hills on the other side, and they're all still covered with snow. And I just thought, it's a lovely, bright, sunny morning. I'm going to go and drive out there. So I spent an hour just driving around in the Peak District, really enjoying it. I've not been out there for ages and ages and ages, and it was gorgeous. It was so nice this morning. I didn't get out of my car. I didn't speak to anybody. I just drove around enjoying the views, and it was delightful. So if anybody's actually in the vicinity of the Peak District right now, they can get there in easy access. Go around. I suppose I shouldn't be saying things like that, should I? We're all supposed to be staying at home and not going anywhere. But
well, it depends on where you are.
Yeah, a little bit of soul food this morning, just by going driving around the hills.
It's good, isn't it? It's nice. It's a nice thing. Let's see if this works.
I think we're very fortunate. I mean, we've got such beautiful scenery just on the doorstep. I mean, it takes me 15 minutes in the car to reach the Peak District from here. I mean, if Darren were on, he'd have a similar sort of journey from perhaps a little longer, but
further from in.
Not difficult to get out into the peaks.
Yeah, it's lovely up there. I remember
it's a lovely bit of land.
Don't remember going there in the cold middle of winter, but I do remember going there I think it might have been autumn.
Yeah.
It was quite nice.
Well,
anyway.
It's one of those lovely January mornings that's very cold but very bright, and I love it when it's like that. I really
when
do.
The sun's out,
anyway.
Yeah. Beautiful. Okay, well we've had funny side. We're kind of all out of whack today, and what I've forgotten to do is say hello to all the chatties, and there's 30 odd people here according to me. So let's go all the way back. Excuse me. First person who jumped in was Xils-labs, who gets the Guernsey this week. Big hello to you. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all that sort of stuff. So I'm going to say a blanket Merry Christmas, Happy New Year for everyone, so I don't have to say it 50 times, or 33 times anyway. Wigoo was next. Big hello to you. Corrosive Abuser, fantastic to see you again. Inky, good to see you. Human Error, the Electronic Composer with a Z. Fantastic, Nick, that one. Good to see you. And we've also got George, good to see you. Apis Lapis, JP Page 2, AZO Head, good to see you, buddy. Mr. Max there, or just Mac now and make that easy. Just Steve, good afternoon for Just Steve. And Mike Delic, howdy. We've got good to see a lot of the people coming back, and it's a new year, and it's good to see everyone sort of still hanging about this crazy show. Inverted Popes is there. Good to see you, mate. Future World Machines. And what else we got?
Name.
Yeah, it's a new one. Big welcome to you.
Hi.
Stu George, Sergio, and Sonic Neutronic, and what else? Just I've got to scroll. There's lots of people here. I wish there was a thing that I could sort through all these names and give me a list. I'm sure someone's coded it somewhere. I think Darren's there. Oh, Mr. Darren, check your emails. And Mark M. I don't know if I said Mark M. Big hello to you. I think that's about it. Oh, Doak? Or was it Doak? Tell us if it's Doak or Doak. He's just jumped in to say hi. And also Wayne Murray has also just jumped in to say hi, just in the nick of time. So big Happy New Year to all of you. I hope you all had a fantastic sort of festive season. Now that we're through all that, I think we're back into the swing of things for the year. And what we should do next is we should go into the news segment, which is this button here. We always have news. A bit quiet this time of the year though. But I think this news is pretty big. Now, most people would actually already know about this news, but because my show is on Saturday, I don't get to say it until then. It was about 2 days ago that this was leaked. Yes, the Novation circuit rhythm was leaked in a, I saw it on Electronauts, but I think Wigoo also posted it in my Discord as well. And this is a sampler. It's called the circuit rhythm. According to this leak, it's a sampling groove box that can sample via stereo input. Let me see if I can maximize that a bit better for you guys. If you've never seen it before, this is about the only image that I've got. There's a couple actually. I've got a couple of images actually. I'll show you. It can sample via the stereo input and also load samples via a micro SD card slot. The rear photo, I've got a rear photo actually. Let's do the rear photo. There we go. The rear photo shows USB-C, 3 MIDI in, sync, stereo sample in, plus left and right outputs and phones. So yeah, that looks really, really interesting. I think a lot of us have been kind of waiting for Novation to do the next iteration of circuit and make it into a sampler. I think it kind of was, that was the sort of organic step that it needed to take. Now, this leaked, I'll get back to this photo here. This leaked photo was priced on this website at 415 euros. So it could be accurate. It might have just been a placeholder price that they put, but that's all we know so far. But what I thought we'd do, we've got another one to show in a sec, but I'll just get a quick reaction from you gentlemen. What do you guys think of this news? Maybe starting with you, Henrik. You're on that button there.
Well, no matter what drum machine I buy, it sounds great on YouTube, but I suck at making it sound great. I don't know. I haven't really read anything about this one, but I love my Digitact, so I think I'll stay with that.
Digitact. Okay, so that's the winner for you. And Andy, what about you? Does this kind of sort of excite you? Maybe, maybe not. You don't own a circuit, do you?
It looks interesting. No, I don't. No, I've gone different routes. I mean, I looked at them quite closely when I was going to get the. Well, I settled on the Electro-labs. But I had a look at this. I thought it sounded, I say sounded. The idea of it sounds interesting. Oddly enough, somebody's put in the chat that Inky should be on, so she could comment on this, because I think this will be something that she would have much more insight into. And likewise, Darren's got a circuit too, so he might be able to give a more insightful view on it. I mean, to me, they've always been useful, funky little boxes. And I know Inky swears by them, so yeah. I think she'll be quite excited by these.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they're in the chat, but we're here, and I've got a circuit as well, and I use it, and I've had it for years. And not noticeably, I think it lacks. I mean, we'll just grab the photo again. It lacks a screen, doesn't it? I mean, if you're going to have some sort of circuit, some sort of sampling thing where you can edit the samples or manipulate the samples somehow, I feel that it needs a screen. There's arguments for and against this on social media right now. There's actually it's really just going crazy about the screen argument, about whether we actually need it, whether it's distracting us, whether we're menu diving because of screens.
I used a Mirage for many years. It only had a display with 2 numbers. It worked, so this can work too.
It can. So that's.
Inky's just said in the chat that she and Novation may well part ways. Oh, I wonder what she's had a bit of a falling out. Ooh.
Well, I don't know. We'll find out in a minute. My comment would probably be just that we're unsure, really. We need to know more information about this. Obviously, we don't know how we're going to edit the samples. We don't know how we're going to manipulate them. So you can see in the photos, one of the things I was trying to sort of, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a slice button. See the bottom right of the lit pads, and it's got the word slice there. So obviously there is some way to manipulate samples on here. And so just, check out this graphic if you do see it on the interwebs, and you can have a bit more of a study on what sort of stuff there. I mean, we're going to talk about sampling today with the Polyend Tracker, and terms like one-shot, slice, and all that come into that as well. So it's very common for samplers to have these kind of things in it. So the fact that it doesn't have a screen could be a game changer. It may not. It depends on how they implement it and how clever they are. And Novation do some clever things. So we'll see anyway. But that is not all. We actually have another Novation product that's leaked, and it's not that one. It's this one. It is according to the leak, it's called the Circuit Tracks. This looks like it's just basically a Circuit version 2, I would say. I don't really know a lot about it, but I can tell you just from everything that you can see on the screen that it has 2 synth tracks, 4 drum tracks, and 2 MIDI tracks. The 2 MIDI tracks is really the new kind of start of this. The dedicated MIDI tracks is something that Circuit hasn't done before. You can use Circuit for MIDI, but have dedicated tracks and actually built into it. So that's kind of cool. The price for this is the same at 415 euros. So that's kind of where I'm thinking maybe that was just a placeholder price. I don't know. Who knows? But one of the things I thought we would show quickly before we start getting comments on this is this. And that's the side view. And you'll notice that a lot of the old sort of Novation stuff was kind of blocky, quite sort of rectangular in their appeal. They kind of sat on the desk very horizontally, very sort of top-down looking sort of thing. This is very slimline looking, and it's got a bit of a slope to it, which does kind of lead to a bit more ergonomics. Some people may actually feel this is a good thing. So let's get some comments from you gentlemen.
May I say something?
Yeah.
About the design, I don't get why they don't. What do you call it? Why do the wires have to be on the backside? Why don't they make them deeper so we can have more gear on the table? I don't get it. It's always a problem with the wires on the back.
Yeah.
They should invent something, do something, make a standard. Like in racks, it's the same. If 2 units, if 1 unit has the outputs in the top, then you can't put anything just above it. You have to make a space.
Yeah,
they should think about that when they do hardware.
That's a good point. I mean, I've got a couple of arguments there that I could throw at you, but we'll keep going. We'll go with Andy. What do you think of the tracks?
Well, I think it like you said, it's a Circuit Mark II, isn't it? It's updated. One of the interesting things that I noticed was that the actual dials at the top are now labeled with parameters and their functions, and which is, I think, something that was lacking on the original Circuit. The knobs did different things depending what sound you'd got selected, which I think was a bit of a mystery to some people. Never having used one properly, I couldn't I couldn't say how much of a hindrance that was. Interesting the debate about where cables go. That is an interesting one, because
the big debate.
there was something posted in Pro Synth Network about that the other day. Ben Simpson posted something about, why do they have to put cables in the middle on the back? I thought, well, I'd never thought about it before, but it's true. Where the cables go actually plays a part, and certainly if you're using a lot of desktop stuff, the cable sticking out of the back of things is actually it takes up space. So having them on the top is a good idea. But I know that there's arguments against that too. We just got to put up with it until everything goes utterly wireless, which I think seems a bit of a way off. We're going to be stuck with cables.
This is
sticking
why
out and dangling all over the place.
You have problems with cables sticking out the back of things, because you may want to actually have a few more things in front of you other than just one thing in front of you.
Yep.
And that's what you end up with.
You've got to think about it. It's like doing a big jigsaw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's one of the reasons I moved stuff off the desk to my left. I had stuff on this desk here, and actually tried to work out a way of putting them. I got my Volkers on the little stands, and there were it just seemed to work better here in this sort of arrangement than it did when they were all flat on this big surface over here. And I was
well, that seems to be what a lot of people have to do.
Just look messy.
Yeah. A lot of people have to go up, don't they? It's kind of, you have to sort of shelve it or tier it, and that's kind of what we're having to do because of that cable situation. And you'll see with the Polyend Tracker in a minute, I'll show you that, and it's got the same issue. So yeah, that's the news. There is actually more, so we'll go back to this. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it's this button. Yes, who's that? That is a famous guy. Yeah, good pick. And why is he on the news? Because he did a live stream on New Year's Eve, which I thought was absolutely brilliant. And
it was fab.
Let's have a little bit of a look at it. So make sure the volume is up. Here we go. Yeah, it's just in case the YouTube police come on and tell me off. That was the tiny little snippet of the live stream. What it was like a virtual concert. So there was nobody there, but it was all lights and computer graphics, and it was a visual feast. Absolutely. There was something to look at every split second. It was amazing. You got to see like a lot of stuff going on, and you definitely weren't bored. The music was, some parts of it was really, really good. Some parts of it was interesting. I guess he's changing some of the way he plays. I guess it's trying to be a bit more modern. I'm not sure. Anyway, I just thought we'd show a bit of that and just have a bit of a general comment. So, gentlemen, did you, firstly, did you see it, and what did you think of it? Jean-Michel Jarre.
I watched it. Yeah, I saw that, and again, like you said, I loved it. I was actually a bit puzzled at times whether he was there or not, or whether it was just his images and the lighting and the graphics had all been superimposed onto a virtual Notre Dame. But whatever it was, it looked gorgeous. It sounded gorgeous. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was. If you haven't seen it, check it out on YouTube. It's up there.
Yeah, there'll be a link to it on the channel description. If you are watching this later, you can go click on that link and go to it. Did you see it, Henrik, at all? Did you see that video?
No, I didn't know about it. I would love to see some of it. Probably not on, but I would love to see it. So please post a link.
Yeah.
What I'll do...
It's worth it, Henrik. You'll enjoy it.
What I'll do, just to keep everyone happy, is I will post a link to it now in the chat room. Just give me a second. Takes a couple of seconds for me to do that. There it is. So there's the link to the video in the chat room. It's called Welcome to the Other Side, if you're wondering. So, yeah, pretty cool. Anyway, moving right along. Was there any more news? No, we finished news. Cool. All right, next thing off the ranks is this one. Now this week, no scams. No scams. Sorry to say it. No eBay scams. But it is the price watch segment, really. That's what it's really all about. And I thought I'd start with this. And I don't know if we've got Failed Muso in the chat room. Usually we do. Robbie Puccelli, he'd like this one. Definitely would like this. Now, some people may argue this is a scam, but this is a broken. Look, Tone Tweakers are reputable as a seller, so whatever price they've decided to set this at means that it's probably worth it in their eyes, anyway. I don't know if I would buy it, but looking at about 10,000, 11,000 pounds for a Fairlight Series 3 sampler. Now, it doesn't really, there's a whole bunch of stuff in those photos. You can go check it out. The listing is live at the moment. But it doesn't actually go into much detail about what's not working on it, but it does say it's not working. It's not functioning. So, you know, it might need something very simple, and you've got yourself a pretty cool vintage relic sampler there. Or it might be a lot more problems than you've got yourself into, and 11,000 pounds may not be the way to go. Gentlemen, just a quick opinion there. Would you pay 11,000 pounds for something that doesn't work?
Yeah, well, I remember asking Robbie about the prices of secondhand Fairlights and what they went for, and there's a lot of it is down to, you know, the amount of memory that's in it, how it's been changed, whether they've put in solid state drives and all sorts of bits of technical information which went a bit over my head, really. But the sort of price he was coming to was around sort of like £10,000 mark, which is what that is. But he was also factoring into it the cost of restoration as well. You know, that there's a lot of work will go into getting a lot of the, particularly the Series 2 Fairlights back to life. I'm glad. You know, I'm glad that there are these things are still out there, and people are willing to pay money and are willing to invest in restoring them. And in that, you know, a big doff for the cap to Robbie and the people that he works with in sourcing.
You can get them
fixed and getting them going. Oh yeah. But it's a serious commitment, and of course, the market at the end is going small. I mean, if I had £10,000 lying around, would I be shelling it out on a 30-year-old plus? And the answer is, well, not really, not these days. As much as I would love to own one, I don't think it's common sense for me. Somebody else, I mean, it would be, if particularly obviously collectors that will be wanting one. So,
what about you, Henrik? Would you get yourself a? I don't know if it's euros or similar.
No. 30 years ago, a Fairlight would have been fine. I borrowed one, not personally, but at the work, the job I had, we borrowed one from, I think it was the only Dane who had one. It was called Dr. Phil. Actually, he was American, I think. But we almost didn't dare to touch it. Because it was quite a lot of money if we broke something. So, but back then I would have loved it. Today, I think my Moog can do almost the same or more.
Yeah. Fair enough. Now, Native VS in chat said who was the previous owner. That might be attributing to the price. Sorry, there was some loud vehicle going past. That might be attributing to the price. I don't know. I didn't quite read that much because I was in a bit of a hurry to do it. So you can go check the listing out. Is it? Yeah, Andrew said, is it a boat anchor? Andrew Me, that is, not Andrew Brooks. Could be. You could be paying that much money for a boat anchor. Anyway, we'll keep going. We did news. We're sorry, going back to here. Next one we've got is a bit of a price watch, as I mentioned before this week. And I did kind of mention to you that I'm keeping my eye on the DX7 prices. And as you can see there, backwards, it's weird trying to do backwards pointing there. Actually, if you look down there somewhere, you'll see the little squiggle price over the last 12, 18, actually it's a couple of years. You can see the DX7 price in general, it had sort of popped up from about June 2020. See that little, it just really jumped up, and it kind of hung up there for a little while, but then it dropped right back down again, and it's popped back up. But if you look at that last 6 months, if you take that as an average, it's definitely gone up. And that's just a bit of evidence. Now, that's the graph that you see on the bottom of your Reverb listings. So that's the Reverb sales information. So I thought I'd mention that because I wanted to see some evidence of it, and I have seen it now. So I'm pretty comfortable now that if you're looking at DX7s, they've gone up in price, and you can thank Robbie for that. And once again, we have been bombarded by the wonderful used market, and look at that drop in right at the end of the used SH101 prices. Maybe, just maybe, they're starting to come back to reality in price. And I mean, it's not like it's a massive drop. It's down to what, 1,200 US dollars? No, sorry, Australian dollars. Is that Australian dollars or US dollars? I can't remember if it's whatever it is. But you can see generally it was kind of sort of flopping all over the place, and there was not really showing me any evidence at all that the Behringer clone had any effect on this, or even the Roland, boutique version could have, they could have competed with this technically. So, but then right at the end, it just really dropped down, but not much different to it dropping down back in 2017. It did the same. It's almost identical, the drop around about March, April 2017. You can see that right in the sort of middle, it's done that as well. So you never know, it could pop up again. I just find these things really, really interesting. Prices of synths and how people sort of talk about, how they've got value, and I'm sitting on an nest egg, and you see the graph go. It's a bit like investing in Bitcoin sometimes, isn't it? But yeah, quick comment from Henrik. Do you believe in all that hocus pocus about vintage synth prices?
I know I don't need the old vintage things because modern gear can sound the same and be better. I still remember the Jupiter 4, which always was out of tune. That was real analog. When people talk about the one you just showed, it actually has a digital oscillator, DCO. So that's not analog as people say. Analog was before that time. So
the SH101 you're talking about? The SH101?
The one you showed, yes. I think it's a digital oscillator. It was earlier with the SH01.
3340.
Yeah, I think it's VCO. I'm pretty sure it's a VCO. I think it's a Curtis oscillator.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
okay, but it's about
VCOs.
that time when they changed to digital controlled oscillators, Roland.
Yeah, it was just after that. Yeah, with the Junos and that.
Yeah.
Yep.
A real analog oscillator would drift, and I can't remember that one drifting.
Yeah,
that's how I see it.
The difference is that it was an oscillator on a chip, right? That's the difference. It was an oscillator on a chip, whereas before oscillators.
Yes, but is it analog then? I mean, when it's in a chip, is it analog?
Well, it's
a Curtis 3340 oscillator. It's an analog.
It is analog, but the whole point of digital is that the actual oscillator is being produced by like a computer algorithm, right? Versus analog being it actually is a discrete sort of circuit. Now that discrete circuit can be shrunk down from silicon into a chip. It's still analog. It just means that they've shrunk it down. That's all. It's a bit like comparing through-hole components.
Yeah, I know that, but to me, when it's in an integrated circuit, it's no longer analog. So not really analog.
Discrete parts.
So you're sort of saying the true analog is through-hole discrete circuits. That's kind of what you're saying.
It's a few transistors to make a multi-vibrator, and it's the capacitors and all that things. No, I can't explain it, but it's not in a chip to me.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I mean, the original Moogs, the original amps, all that sort of stuff were discrete. So yeah.
There was an interesting video that I watched actually recently, which was comparing. I can't remember the name of the guy who did it, but it was a guy who was comparing the different iterations of the vintage Mini Moog from the very, very earliest in 1969, 1970 to the very ones that were produced in 1981, and how the actual circuitry inside them had actually changed. It was really quite fascinating to watch it. Oh, I've got oh my word,
you've gone all fuzzy. I think
when I got into
the biggest issue they had with the analog back then, you're talking about sort of late 70s, early 80s, was that performers weren't finding them reliable on stage, and it was quite costly. It was quite a nightmare. So they wanted to have some reliability. So they did a lot of research in electronic engineering and audio engineering, and they, ARP were pretty big on this. They actually tried to, make their oscillators not overheat and not be heat sensitive and all that sort of stuff. So all of that kind of led to Curtis making those chips, and they were really, really popular. From the Prophet 5, so late 70s, that was like 78, the Prophet 5, wasn't it? So yeah, that kind of was like another iteration of the analog journey. But yeah, I can see what you're saying. You're sort of saying real vintage analog.
Yes, but it was good that it got more in tune. I remember in the around 76 or 7, I was just getting into electronics, very young, a child, and my first oscillator was very unstable. It was actually a theremin. If you took your hand next to it, it would go out of tune. So because of that, I've never seen the theremin as an instrument. It's just an oscillator which is not well shielded. But about the integrated circuits and oscillators in those, it was the way it had to go, because analog instruments wasn't
reliable,
too stable.
Yeah,
reliable.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not that it's wrong or right or anything like that. It was just that was how history played out, and eventually that led to digital, didn't it? So they were kind of mucking around with digital in the 70s anyway. So it was inevitable that they'd bring out digital stuff. Look, great example of what you just said there, Henrik, is like that Behringer Eurorate module that I got, the first one, their first revision, and that literally had very unstable tuning on it, and it was the way that they designed the circuit, and then had to go back and redesign the circuit. There was another iteration. So I've actually got both, and I've shown photos on the stream and things like that where you can actually see the differences. So those oscillators aren't on a chip, so they're through, well, not through all the surface mount, but it's same circuit design as the System 100 back in the day. And they had issues with drift tuning and stuff like that. These days, it's more just about waiting for them to warm up. So I've got like Eurorate modules that will be in tune the second you turn it on, and I've got Eurorate modules that take 20, 30 minutes before they stabilize. So, that technology is, if they're remaking it, they're bringing back all the old problems that people used to have back then. So, yeah, it does my head in at times, but, you kind of have to say, no, if you want to have all that kind of cool vintage sound, you've got to put up with all the, the innuendo around it. So, yeah. While we're talking about cool stuff, we should probably jump into the next segment, which is the Polyend Tracker. I just thought I'd quickly mention while we're talking about cables at the back. There's cables at the back, just like everything else. So I just thought I'd mention that while we're talking about it. Anyway, let's get stuck into this now. I want to give a little disclaimer. I'm not the best person at demoing products. So if you want to see a really good demonstration and overview of this, go check out Ziv's video, Loop Hop. There's also another good one on the Polyend website. They've actually split them all up into different segments as well. This is really just us playing around with it live, and I guess that's kind of the cool thing about it. But before we do anything, I thought we'd share with you the peeling of the LCD screen plastic, because everyone loves that. That's just such an amazing feeling. That when you do that, you kind of know.
I'm still on the MPC.
No, I'll take them off.
I haven't taken it off yet.
I'll take them off. It actually, wow, the screen actually looks better with it off. That's actually really nice. Now, I'll tell you a couple of things about this. Okay, so it's a sturdy metal enclosure. Polyend make, this is my first Polyend product, but from what I've been told, Polyend make really nice gear. Now, it's quite slim. Like, it's very, very slim. So we're talking, you can actually see the thickness there. It's
Can you show it from the side?
not even like a finger.
Oh, it's flat. Okay.
It's very, very
Because
flat.
I was thinking about the things with the cables on the back. Those which are raised, they always place the cables in the top instead of in the bottom, which would
I
be
guess what you're saying.
smart when placing them in racks and such.
Yeah.
Um,
So this wouldn't be a problem because it's
yeah.
lower down. Yeah, okay. One of the things I love about this is the screen. And you'll notice that it's a little bit dusty there, but you can still see it on different, you can actually still read that screen on different angles, right? And that's actually a really, really cool thing. So the screen is an LCD TFT display. So nothing fancy, but they have got a decent display there. If you're wondering, it's actually 800 by 480 pixels if you're in the computer geek land. Now the front panel, obviously the screen plays a big part in this, but what you'll like about this is all these keys are all mechanical. Let's just turn it off for a sec. So they're like a keyboard from a computer. They're quite mechanical sounding, and they've got that sort of Amiga, Atari sort of tactile feel about them, and that's actually really cool. All of the keys do that. Another thing you'll notice is this grid here with pads. These are silicon type pads. Now, when you use these, they're not velocity sensitive. They're just literally just a node on, node off type affair. And you use it to trigger things as well. And then there's this big jog wheel. Now, it actually makes a lot of sense that this jog wheel is big because you get that fine motor control and you get that quick, if you need to move things quick. So it's actually good that it's a big jog wheel. I think they've done quite a good job here of designing this. I actually feel it's quite well designed. And haven't really sort of got to the point where I can sort of criticize it yet because I'm still kind of learning it. But while we're talking about it, let's have a look at the back. So the cables connections on the back, upside down, starting from this side, you have got line out, line in, mic in, MIDI in and out, and you've got the micro SD card slot there. There's a little secret reset thing that you might need to use if you get in trouble with firmware updates. That's your USB-C and that's your power switch. Now the USB-C, this is what some people will like, is only 5 volts, 1 amp. So you can actually power this off a mobile phone, or you can power it off one of those little battery bricks that you can get off your USB. So this can be completely portable, and it doesn't draw a lot of power either. It's actually quite light in terms of how much power it takes. You guys can do the math. 1 amp. I don't even think it needs 1 amp. It probably only needs about half an amp. And that would last quite a long time on those fairly decent sized battery bricks that you can get. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so no internal battery, just making that clear. All right, so layout of the land. You've got basically, these are all your sort of your menus really. So there's really kind of not really menu diving in this at all. It's literally just you're going to kind of instrument parameters and everything's here. Now, to sort of kind of work this, you can't touch the screen. It's not a touch screen, which has some people sort of thinking, it should be a touch screen. But if I want to change anything, it's basically, these are your kind of column actuators for what's on the screen. So if I want to look at volume, I hit that, and then I use the jog wheel to change the volume. right? So that's kind of how that works. Now, while we're in instrument tools, some screens have multiple pages. So you can see there just by hitting it, it toggles between the two. And then when you want to change to different things, like you might want to look at, you know, envelopes and things like that, you've got access to all that in there. So you've got things like volume control, tuning, panning, filters, e.g. You can see it all there, right? And this comes in handy when you're mucking around with some of its synth sound features, which are granular and wavetable synths, and also samples as well. So this does come in handy, and we'll talk about instruments a bit later, but that's your instrument automation and your parameters section there. So that's pretty cool. Now, let's go into the next section, which really is the big part of this. It's the sampling side. And Andy, I'm going to show you the track a bit in a minute, because I know you're keen to see that and how convoluted it is. But what we need to do first, I think we need to look at the sample side. Now, just to let you guys know, the samples part of it is 16-bit, 44.1 kilohertz. And I think you can record up to 2 minutes of using the recorder. And I'll show that in a sec. Options to play samples, one shot, forward, back, and ping pong. So if I go in and load, I think the last project's in here, isn't it? Yeah, cool. All right. So, and if I change the instrument. Now I went in before and I recorded with this microphone, me saying booger, and it should work.
Why would you say booger? Was it annoying you?
Right. So there's the basic thing. It was annoying me, yes. Go into sample editor, and there's me saying booger. Right. This is actually pretty cool. These are kind of like destructive effects that you can change on your sample. So you can change, you can reverse it, crop it, delay, bit, crunch it. This is actually really, really cool, and there's more below. So there's quite a lot of cool stuff in here, right? Fading in, fading out, that sort of stuff's in there. I've already cropped that sample. I'll actually go in and show you guys how to make a recording in a sec. You guys can muck around with that.
So that's kind of an undo.
Sorry.
Is there an undo? You say it's destructive.
Yes.
So if you do something wrong.
So that part,
yes.
Once you do it, there's no undo for that. But there's a lot of undo in a lot of the other areas of this. So you'll see that in a sec. Okay. So remembering if you're applying some of these things, you're actually saying, no, I want to normalize this. And the other thing you can do too is you can always keep a copy of the original sample as well. Next is there's a slicer. I should talk about the slicer. There's two features of the slicer. It's auto and manual. Nothing really sort of to talk about there. The sample editor we're in now. You can muck around with these effects if you want to. So one thing you should know about this sort of tracker samplers is if you're kind of putting stuff into your tracks, one of the things is you probably want to have it as prepared as much as possible otherwise you're kind of having to sort of rely on the DSP of the unit to do things like effects and that. So like, for example, you may want to have a chord, instead of it playing a chord for you, which it can do, you may actually want to sample the chord being played and have that as a sample. That's kind of the sort of theory behind trackers. It's kind of preparing sounds in a different way. It does make you think about things differently. Now, I did mention before the sample recorder. So sample playback, I mentioned before about one shot, forward loop, ping pong. There's your slicing there. And wavetable and granular, we'll go through it in a minute, okay? But there's your playback there. Now, sample recorder. So line in. So I do have line in. I can go to me. So what we've got here is the trusty acoustic guitar. and the old Novation vinyl back. I've got to chuck this in so I can get some sort of, it's got a little pickup in it. Sorry about that. You guys should be able to hear this now if I play. Is that coming through? So I can sample that now by hitting record. And stop. I can record up to, like I said before, 2 minutes of this. I'm just going to take that out. And we can muck around with that. Sorry, I just need to put my guitar back down. Otherwise, we can now muck around with the sample as we're doing it. So we can start point, end point. It kind of worked it out from the start as well. The end point, and you can listen to it. So it's pretty cool. So, excuse me. So it will sample as mono. Let's just call this guitar. It's like using a keyboard, this thing. It's like this. So note G, U, I, T, A, R. And then a space is down here. And then you can put C space. Was it a C major? I think it was a C major that I played. That'll do. All right, and click save. Done. So I've saved that now. Now that's in the system, and I'll be able to actually go into my sample editor, and that's my booger. So I need to change that. Now we need to load.
Change the picture.
Oh, sorry.
You're showing yourself.
Good point. Sorry, I was showing everything wrong. Where were we? Sample editor. Let's get the recordings, and there's my guitar, and then I'm going to add that to there. All right, now if we go to sample editor, there's my guitar. Right, so now I can actually play with the start point of this, the end point of this. Right, then I can apply any of those effects there. But what I can also do is I can also, so let's crop this. That's the effect I want. And apply it. There we go. Now, I can also go into the, where is it? The sample playback. And then we can look at wavetable. And so there's your wavetable. All right, so there's wavetable, and then granular is this one. So what you do with granular is you set yourself a position. Let's say we want it there, and let's say we want to give it a little. Good, there we go. And you can do forward, backward, ping-ponging. So there's your granular. Now granular is a single grain, okay? So it is pretty basic in terms of that side, but that is actually pretty cool fun, just mucking around with that. I love the user interface on that too. It's actually really, really cool. All right. let's get to the next section, which what I'll do is I'll do another recording. I'll use this microphone, which is out of the micro Korg, right? Because you guys didn't see it when I recorded. Sorry, because I forgot to change the camera. So you just change it to line in 1, 2, 3, high gain, low gain. Let's try high gain. Okay. So what do you guys want me to say? Happy New Year or something? Tell me what you want to say.
Crikey.
No.
All right, we'll do crikey. Crikey. Okay, so there's the recording, and then you can crikey. So you can change the endpoint on that. Crikey.
Can you normalize that sample? Can you get its level? So because you've got only a tiny amount there, haven't you?
You can. So once you've done that, you can save it. We'll just call it crikey. You got to kind of get it in first. Is it I? A.
But can you really normalize that word?
Oh yeah, so sample loader.
Depends where in the world you live, Henrik.
Yeah.
No.
Crikey.
Add. All right, now sample editor. Right, so there we go. So we want to change this to Right, now let's get the normalizer. You guys want a normalizer? And you can select level. Okay, let's do 90% preview.
Crikey.
See, that's how you can preview your normalizer.
Crikey.
Let's probably do it.
Crikey. Crikey. Crikey.
Let's do it at that. There you go.
Crikey.
And then now we want to crop it.
Oh,
So let's apply the crop. And there's the undo.
No, it doesn't, Mark.
So there's the undo. There's the undo there. Right? You're asking about undo? There it is. I said I was going to show you it later. All right, so that's done. Apply, done. We can apply some delays. Let's try that. Crikey. So that's kind of the sort of stuff you would do there. Go back. Let's look at
Beat crush.
time stretch beat. Let's try that.
Crikey.
So obviously you can muck around with the granules and steps and stuff like that in there. So let's increase the steps. Let's reduce the granules.
Crikey.
So you can have some fun. Like seriously, you could just sound design tool. This, don't forget too, this saves everything as a WAV file onto an SD card. So even if you're not using this as a tracker, you could use this as a little sample mangling device too. It's got some really, really cool algorithms in there. Anyway, that's that. Okay, so what's the most important part of this whole thing is the pattern editor. And this is what it looks like. You guys have probably seen videos of this already. This is what Andrew's worried about.
Pear-shaped.
Okay, Andrew's worried about this. So it's really, really easy.
Programming hex.
It's really, really easy, right? So the first column is your note, and that's C5, right? The second column is the instrument sample, and there's your instruments there. So you can see 1 is an 808 kick. 4 is a 808 hi-hat closed, okay? So that's what that column is there. So that B5 is a hat, that C5 is a bass drum kick. There's nothing to it than that. And if you just want to show just the notes, you can hold down pattern and just show the notes, right? And double click on pattern and brings it back to there. The other two columns are effects lanes. So, and there's sends, there's a whole bunch of effects. And I'll show you that now, because if you go into this one here and I click on effects 2 and then hold it down, you can see that's panning, right? So that's a panning effect. Now, if I go down, it's actually really intuitive how to use this. If I go to effects 1, see how there's 2 effects lanes and there's 2 effects buttons here. It's really easy. So if I go to effects 1, this should be a roll, and it's roll once. Okay, and there's the preview of that there. And you can change the roll. See that? Make sure I had to put it in record mode to do that. So that is basically all it is there. That's really not hard to understand in terms of, it's actually quite visually important once you work that out. There's 8 tracks across that you can play with. Now these tracks can be samples or MIDI. Okay, MIDI instruments are below. Okay, there's your MIDI instruments there. So MIDI channel 1 to 16 down the bottom. But you've got 50.
What commands do you have for the MIDI? I mean, you showed the effects before, but what do you have on MIDI?
We'll go into MIDI a bit later because I haven't actually had a chance to really get stuck into it. But I mean, obviously, you can sequence notes, you can sequence velocity, you can do program changes and that sort of stuff, as far as I know.
But
and then
perhaps you can do delays too. I mean, if you wanted a delay on a drum before, you repeated it 16 times and changed the velocity to make it sound like a delay. Perhaps you can do the same here with MIDI.
I probably could. I don't actually have anything connected up to MIDI at the moment though, so I haven't got that prepared. Maybe I can do that on another stream because this is so much to go through just in this, and I don't want to go through it all either because honestly it's an abyss how deep this thing can get. This is really just a quick overview for you guys. So like I said before, if you just wanted to see what instruments are being played, you can just hold down pattern. It will show you what tracks are playing what instruments, notes showing what notes are played, what effects on effects 1 and effects 2, and double click shows you an overview. There's that. Now I can do a little quick example of this track that I prepared earlier. This is absolutely cheesy crap. What I can tell you, there's an 808 kick. There is a emulator which Jean-Michel Jarre used in Zuluk album, and there's me saying booger. Ready, set, go. Now that's really loud, so we need to go into here and turn the master volume down. So obviously while you're playing that, you might think to yourself, well, that's cool, I like that. And I don't, by the way. I think it's crap. But I might want
I was about to say, oh, I got to get that one.
I might want to mute some of the tracks because I don't like the sound of the arpeggiator that I made. And you can do that. There's my booger. So you can mute tracks. So that's got all those performance options there as well. I'll go into that in a little bit because it was a good little sort of segue to do that. But I just thought I'll quickly show that. So you can see it's really easy to get around things, and that's one of the things I like about this. It's monkey see, monkey do, pretty much. You do get used to using the cursor keys, the jog wheel. It really does bring me back to the days of using an Amiga. Now, I will bump out of this because this is just one pattern, and I'll go into File. What we're going to do is open a project. So what you're seeing now is the file manager. So let's go into, I don't know. What should we do? Do Richard Devine? Let's choose his. So click open. Just in case. Yeah, save it. Yes, overwrite. Good. Did it load? Richard Devine. Okay, here we go. So this is obviously a pre-loaded thing. The reason why I want to show you this is because this has got song mode arrangements and everything. I want to show you that side of it. Now, while we were talking about patterns, okay, if you want to change patterns, it's literally you hold down the pattern and just change the jog wheel, and you've got all these patterns here, right? Now, song
may I
mode.
ask something?
Yeah, go for it.
You loaded a song.
Yeah.
Can you control that from MIDI? I mean, a program change to load a special song?
Don't think you can get it to load a song. There was a fair bit in the user manual that did list a whole bunch of stuff about what MIDI it can do. Okay, so MIDI with input and output implementation controls are available. Clock in, internal USB MIDI in jack. Clock out, transport in, transport out. Notes, CC input off, USB. So you've got CC 41 to 48 performance, CC 51 to 62 performance, FX slots. So it's controlling the FX stuff. So this in this performance mode, which is here, there's a whole bunch of stuff that you can actually control with MIDI CC. That's what they're saying there.
It's because if you're doing a live gig and you have 10 units where you need to load something on, you will have big breaks between songs. So
Yeah,
it
maybe
would be smart if that was
maybe
fine.
they've got something in the pipeline. They've just done a firmware update on this, so they probably might have another one coming. I actually don't know if that feature is in here or not. So that's something that we can flag to check into. Anyway, I do want to show you the song mode because Andy, this is kind of what this is a view of all your patterns, right? So this is basically like, right, I'm going to play pattern 1, track 2. So you can actually select individual tracks for each pattern. You don't actually have to play all your tracks. You might have that's like a way of muting them. This will then scroll down.
Isn't it how many times it repeats?
You can do that as well.
You have the patterns at the left.
Yep. You can do that as well. So let's just show you this how it works anyway. And so let's go into config. I just want to take clock. Okay, we should be okay. Song, play. So it's like an arranger, this section, right? And you can go down and play that part there. Stop, loop. There was a whole bunch of features there, so that one we might want to play that part.
So the number pattern, that's a combination of the patterns.
Yes.
Yes.
So see how that's looping now? It's just going to keep looping until I say continue song, and then it will continue on from there. So it's like a little, in a way, it's kind of like a little performance section as well. So, and you've got, so what you've got all that, this is kind of like, you know, like your grid of all your slots and your patterns, okay? Then on top of that, you've also got this performance section, which is actually really cool. So go back to playing the song. I can do a whole bunch of stuff in here. Like, for example, I can tune the whole thing and I can select I'm not doing a very good job of this, but these are kind of all your little performance mode stuff when you're actually playing live, which I think is pretty cool. I reckon there should be a heap more in here. There's only one screen, so I reckon future development needs to go into this area. There's, you know, once you're in these things, you can change patterns by holding it down and all sort of stuff in there. Right, okay, so quick break for that. I need to have 5 seconds to have a drink and have a break. Questions from the chats and questions from you guys so far. How are we going?
I'm not sure what to say. I just think it still, to me, looks really quite complicated. I mean, anything which involves great long lists of numbers, just my brain just goes no and shuts down. Now, I'm sure you've amply demonstrated that it's quite easy to use if you're happy to work with that sort of interface. But see, my question is, will it record in real time? Can I just set to record and play it on here? Go
Yes, it does.
and record it.
And I haven't shown that yet.
That sort of slightly defeats the object of one of those machines. Surely, that the whole point of that is that you're getting away. That is to get away from that. You know, I mean,
kinda. I mean, one of the things that it does when you record real time is it records micro timing, and it also records chords. So, for example, you've got you might be playing a sample, and a sample is a mono sample, but you might want to do a 3-note chord on it. So what it will do is it will spread that sample across 3 tracks. And if you've played it slightly uneven, it'll do micro timing. And that sort of stuff, once it's in, you can then edit it if you want to. And it's kind of cool.
So is each track mono then?
Each track is mono.
You can, at a time?
Each sample is mono, and you can pan it in your stereo sphere.
That's not what I meant. I meant you take a 1-note sample. Can you then play a chord with it? Can you program a chord in, or do you have to have 1 note on track 1, another note on track 2? Is that what you were saying?
Yes.
That seems like a waste of tracks to me.
Well, that's how it works with the samples. So
it's basically only 1 note at a time ever on a track.
That's in the pattern part. There's only 1 note at a time on each of these tracks. So let's go back to here. Now this don't think too much about this right now, because right now you're kind of in limbo land, thinking, oh, that's a real bummer, because I can only do. Hang on, let's go do. I can only do 1 note at a time on each one of these tracks. But what you can do is, once you've got your chord with your samples, is you can then I forget the term, but you can then You can resample it back to 1 sample, and then that can be then a single point on a track. So it can what is it called?
Resampling, I suppose. Or
yeah, I forget what it's called. Render. You're rendering that. You can render a selection.
Okay.
And then that becomes... So say you like that chord sound. Okay, yep, I'm going to stick with that. Instead of wasting 3 or 4 tracks, depending on how many notes in your chord, you can then render that into 1 track. So that's how you get around that sort of stuff. And that's kind of how trackers have always worked as well. All right, let's go back to... I'll show you live recording and stuff on the pattern thing in a sec, because I think that's definitely something we've got to do next. Chatties. Let's go to chatties. I've been talking a lot. Okay, so Max, I'm looking. So when I'm in the chat, I want to look for you guys. You got to flag my name. So you got to say Ramsey @Ramsey, and then I'll pick it up. Otherwise, it's going to be too hard for me to go through all line by line by line of what you guys are saying. So, well, I asked 3 questions earlier, but not about the box. Okay, so where's your 3 questions earlier? Am I getting an SP 2400? Yes, it's called an S2400 now. Yes, I am. If you want to ask Brad where the hell it is, I've been waiting and waiting patiently. It looks like he's giving them to all the really, really well-known artists first, and giving it to the shit people second. I don't know. It might be a queue. I might just be in a low number. I don't know. I'm getting a bit pissed off. I've got to pay a massive import duty, whatever it's called now, because he's not willing to change information on customs about it either. So, yeah. Anyway, enough of that. It's going to come with a bit of tainted love on it, that's for sure. How do you set the count
Sing a song about that.
Paul's asked, how do you set the count in? Okay, so there's a whole big config section on this, right? And I actually don't know is the answer to that question, but we might be able to find it in here. There's a massive config section in here. So you can see there's project settings, pattern divider, chromatic, general, MIDI, metronome, there we go. time signature num, time signature denum. I guess that's probably it there. You'd have to kind of work that out.
Pre-roll.
Yeah, pre-roll off.
Is that the counting?
Could be. Oops. Let me see what it says in the user manual, because sometimes people use weird terminology, right? I'm getting so much wind coming through the window here. It's crazy. I don't know if you guys can hear it. It's like banging around like crazy. Pre-roll. Metronome state, on-off, pre-roll, on-off, time signature. So you can only set it to on-off. Pre-roll doesn't actually give you a setting. So there you go. It's either on or off. There's your answer. So, oops. Cross, down, and then change to on or off. Yeah, that's it. By the way, while we're in here, I wanted to show Henrik the MIDI side of it. So you can see in the MIDI side, there's quite a bit here. So you can set USB and MIDI jack in for your notes in, so you can actually receive, and you can set it to a specific channel, but I've got it set to all. So let me go back to the file section. I'll open that project of mine. We'll get out of Richard Devine's amazing one and go back to my shit one, because we can. What did I want to show you? So if I go to a blank track, yeah, let's go to a blank track, set the instrument to my guitar, and now we set that as a granular. We probably don't want that as a granular. Sample playback. We just want that as a one shot.
Perhaps you should normalize it so it's a little louder.
Yeah, we should normalize it, shouldn't we? Sample editor, normalizer, select effect. Now I'm using my MIDI. I can use this also as a keyboard, or that. That's probably about right, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, let's do that, and then go back to sample playback. Now, one thing you can do with this is you can do like ping pong, and then you can do the loop start. I might want it to start there and end kind of here. That's pretty cool, isn't it? So you can kind of get some interesting effects there. So there's that side of it. Now, that's a chord, Andy. So do you know what I mean? Like if you want chords, you can sample them in that way, or you can actually record them as a single sort of oscillator sort of sound sample and then render it down into as a chord on your track. So that's kind of that. All right. So, okay, live playback is kind of like, I think you kind of do this, right? And then you go. So it's hit that note just when I hit it on my keyboard, and you can extend the length of your patterns and all that sort of stuff if that wasn't long enough. So just to sort of mute all these, that one. There it is in there. So what happened then is, because that other sample was still playing when I hit another key on the keyboard, it's automatically inserted that sample into the next track if I've got available tracks. You can stop that from doing that too if you want, but that would kind of be how it would do chords. So let's stop that and go back to the pattern editor and mute all these. And if I go to the right, there's the second note that I pressed. See how, because it hadn't quite finished playing the sample, it's put it over here. And you'll notice if I go down, that's when that finishes. So I could then select, there's a way to select stuff by using your cursor. And you go down like this, and then you can just do the whole column. All right, I can select the whole thing there, and then I can I forget how to do this. There's a way you can actually then render it together, and I forget how to do it, but it's a way to do it. It should actually be there. Maybe it's not working. Maybe I need to be in record mode, I don't know. So there's that. Shift. That. Not letting me. I don't know. I have to work it out. I've never actually done it, Andy. But that would be how you would do it. I would be able to merge those two tracks together. I'm not sure. I need to check the manual, but that's how you do it anyway. All right, go back to the chatties. No one's asking me any questions. Okay, fine. That's cool. Yeah. Now, okay, so where is this kind of cool for me, and where might be this cool for you guys? I don't know. Like, everyone's different. Everyone has different needs. I love samplers. It's kind of a bit romantic for me to have a tracker as an actual hardware unit. This is something that I've never ever seen before. I know that there has been a couple made before, but I've never seen them. So this is the first time I've ever had my hands on one. It's been really well done. I will show you guys this. A while back, I did a stream where I was actually showing my Amiga, and this is the tracker called Optimed that I was showing in that. So you can see just how rudimentary they were. Everything was all crammed in. So that was me on stream number 17. So I was showing a tracker way back, like 2 years ago, or whatever it was, a year and a half ago. And you can see with this, it's, you know, it's a lot different. Anyway, so how do I get out of my shift? There we go. Right. I need to have another drink and a break, and you guys can ask questions, or the guys in the chats can ask questions. What have I forgotten? I haven't talked about audio rendering yet, or I've shown the MIDI config and I've shown the file section. Okay, so audio rendering is something that we haven't talked about. So basically, you can actually, so once you've finished that, say you did the Richard Devine one, which is a lot better than mine, and you think, wow, this is a masterpiece and I want to render this. So you've got a few options apparently. So you can do a whole song and a single track. And if you do the whole, you can choose stems, and it will do each track separately as separate WAV files. Plus it will also do your two master FX, which are reverb and delay. So it will literally do the whole lot. By the way, while you've got something plugged into line in, it will also go through as well. I was showing that. So there's your reverb delay. This is your master mix. You can actually play something through your line in while you're performing as well. So you might want to have something else plugged into that, which is, it may be a cool thing, it may not be, I don't know. Dry mix is obviously what the tracks would be. So that's in there. So that's actually pretty cool. Yeah. So I think it's a different thing. That's what I think. I guess what you guys should probably look at it as. Like, I don't know. For me, if I wanted to change this to a granular synth, that guitar thing that I did before. So how do we do that? We can change the position to about there, the length.
How long can it be, the length?
I mean, it can be longer than that probably as well. Change that to go backwards.
Ping pong is probably the best, I think.
Yeah. Change the shape to triangle. Gauss. What's Gauss do? Yeah, that's kind of like your amplitude shape, isn't it? That would just be like on off. Yeah. That'd be rising and falling, and Gaussian would be kind of like a curve, wouldn't it? Gaussian curve. But yeah, most people would use that. And then the position.
One thing, when you load samples into it, can you load samples with loops on?
Once you load samples into it, sorry, I didn't catch the last part.
Can you load samples which are looped, which has loop points?
So from another thing that's already been set, I don't know. You could reset all the loop points. So it does slicing, if that's what you're asking.
Oh no, I mean, if you play a sample or load a sample with loop points, it will usually loop at some point sets where it sounds good. Will it remember that if you load it?
No, because that would be metadata, depending on that particular DAW or device. But one thing I can tell you that it does do is it does do Ableton and Serum wavetable samples. So it won't do granular yet. I don't know what they've got planned on that, as far as I know anyway. But yeah.
But in a standard wave sample or AIF, it contains the data for loop points. It's not a second file.
Okay.
So if you load a wave file, a WAV, then it can contain loops. The question is, does it recognize the loop?
Easiest way to find out is you send me one, and we'll do this another time, and I'll whack it on and I'll see if it does it. Yeah, that'll answer that question. Native VS, can we please get rid of the sample? What's wrong with my guitar sample? Yes, of course you can. You can go to sample loader, and there is a whole bunch of stuff that's in here. Actually, you probably wanted to see. So samples there. Let's go into this view again. I keep forgetting that you guys aren't seeing this. So there's a sample directory which is preloaded, and you click enter, and then you've got these are the artists that have given us. So Jamie Liddell's there, Lego Velt's there, Loops and Trouble, One Even FM, Plug Hugger, Simulacrum Sounds, Stasma and Concrete Collage. There's a whole bunch of wavetables. So let's check out the Jamie Liddell one. So click on enter, and he's categorized it by ambient, beats, loops. So Native VS, choose a category. And we'll wait for you to answer that, and then we'll choose a sample from in there. 10 seconds delay.
Spot now. Don't you dare say F. Oh, you have done. He's just said FM.
He just said FM. Where was that? That was back one. Okay, he wants vocal. All right, vocal. And then we've got, so you can preview all these, right? So this is Jamie. So pick one.
Which Jamie?
Yeah, which Jamie do you want? Bad mood Jamie, or that one? Let's choose that one. So you would then go to the.
Try to hold it now to see if it has a loop.
Okay.
It does.
Oh,
So it does.
Yeah.
That might answer your question.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
There we go. So it adds that to your project. Well, it's a big one. It might just be a really big, long sample. Let's have a look at it.
Yeah.
Sample editor. Oh, yeah. That's just a big, long sample.
Yeah.
That looks quite phallic, that sample. Right. We shall. There you go. That's a different sample.
I think you need to see a doctor.
A sausage. What are you talking about? Should we? What do you guys want to do? Do you want to do like a wavetable on this, or?
No.
No.
That's not really the appropriate sample for wavetable anyway. Let's do granular. We have to go in a bit, don't we?
If you make a wavetable, can you export that wavetable so we can import it in Serum or Zebra?
I believe so. Yeah, it says it's completely compatible with Serum and Ableton, so I believe so. I haven't tried it though.
Okay.
So
No.
there is wavetables in here. Let's look at those. Sample loader. Go back up here. Here, down the bottom, wavetable. And there's a whole heap. And I don't know what they are. They're not very well named, but you can preview. Let's choose that one. So, and then we go into sample playback and change this to wavetable, change the position. So that's more wavetable now. So you can muck around with that. There. So I should show you there. And all you're doing is just changing your positions. It's probably not the best wavetable synth I've ever seen, to be honest. But I mean, it's there. So, you know. Anyway. I don't really know what else I can show you. I mean, I talked about MIDI's file. Yeah, I've talked everything about that I planned to talk about tonight anyway on the show. So guys, ask me questions in the chat if you want any more information about this. For now, I think we could probably go back into the free fall show and let our hair down. See, I've got lots of hair to let down. I'm absolutely dripping in sweat right now because it's like 33 degrees right now where I am. So
You've taken all the heat off us because it's freezing outside.
oh mate, it's really hot in here.
It was snowing just before I sat down for this, but I don't know if it's still snowing. But
I guess kind of you have to kind of have a bit of a tracker. I don't know if you've had a tracker background. Like, I mean, I've always enjoyed the mod track files that came out in the 80s and 90s. I used to love them. I used to play them all the time. You can actually, so I haven't actually said this. So you can actually import mod track files onto this. Now there's a caveat to it. I think they have to be able to play in what was it called? In Schmiz Tracker. There was two different trackers that they have to be able to play in. So it has to be able to play in Schmiz Tracker, and then it has to be exportable in the IT format, which is the I forget the name of it, something tracker, Infinite Tracker, Inferno Tracker, or something like that. Anyway, so once you've got a mod track file that will play on the Schmiz Tracker, and you can export it as in the Schmiz Tracker. Actually, it's a free bit of software you can download off yet. You can then import it into here, and it will import all the wave information as well as all the patterns, notes, and it won't have any sort of extra sort of fancy stuff that those particular mod trackers may have had, but it will bring in the guts, the main and most important parts of it. That's actually a pretty cool thing. So, I mean, I haven't had a chance to do this yet, but I downloaded one for free off Creative Commons, which was a tribute to Rob Hubbard, who wrote Commodore 64 tunes, and it was a mod track file. I've been meaning to try to import it on here. I haven't had a chance because today I've been busy setting up for today, but that's something that we could look at as well. Because, I mean, a lot of people may like the idea of getting those old 8 bits, 12 bits, 16-bit samples into here and then mixing that with more modern samples, right? So that could be a cool thing. And I know there's guys in our synth group that use trackers now. I know there are because I've spoken to them. So Mr. Max asking if I can get my money back. No, I mean I've got honestly I've got nowhere near the length of time I've had to do with this. I've probably spent maybe 3 hours, 4 hours tops on this. And that's what I've been able to do in that time. So do believe me when I say it's pretty intuitive. But if I had more time, I definitely would have a lot more stuff going on. My goal with this is to probably, see what it's like to make a tune and a song and see, and just use it only as a complete thing, not, introduce other instruments. So, we've been busy with Christmas and stuff. So
I would also like you to test if it can work as an external instrument. Like if you have a DAW and you need to play something polyphonic, like 8 tracks, if you can put 8 synths on those 8 tracks you have, and if you can use it like an external instrument.
Okay, so
Not
I can show you
the tracker, but
I have got it in Ableton now. I can show you what it shows like in Ableton. I just need to turn off Ableton. There we go. All right. So if I go to, where's it gone? There. The only thing that it shows at the moment in Ableton is the MIDI side. So it shows as a MIDI I/O. Okay, that's all it's showing.
Yes, that's what it should show.
Yeah,
because you're communicating with it via MIDI. But if you load 8 tracks of different instruments, can you play them from Ableton or keyboard like it was a synthesizer?
You can. So but what I've worked out though is that you can only do, I think, one at a time. So we were in here before in the MIDI config, and
but couldn't you set each track to the same MIDI channel?
You can set tracks as MIDI channels, but that's to play externally. No, you can't set a sample track to a MIDI channel. No, not that I know of. So let's have a look at a track, right? So there's a track there.
Oh, and there was a Notes N channel in the MIDI settings.
Yes.
Notes in channel.
Yeah, so that's
set to all.
Yeah, so that you can either select all or one.
Well, okay, so the track you have selected is the one which is playing.
Yeah, so all, and that would be the MIDI channel that it listens in on. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and as before, I don't know if you guys noticed, but I was actually using the Arturia key step to play that when I was recording that little pattern before over here with the guitar. When I was doing the live record, that was done on the Arturia key step because I had it configured in Ableton. I don't know if you guys can see this, but I've got MIDI going in from the key step and then out to channel 1 on the tracker. So that was the DAW doing that for me, just to make things easier. That's about as far as I've got with it, Henrik. So in any sort of more convoluted than that, I don't know. I mean, it's not bad.
That's okay.
But at the moment, we've got the that granular thing loaded, right? So we can play that now.
I heard a video at a time, saw a video where it was very ambient, and that made it attractive to me. Instead of it sounding like it did in the Amiga time. So I hope to hear more of that genre.
Yeah, I mean, look, with your tracks, you've got so each track of these things, right? You can actually set up to 128 steps in each track, and then you can have 255 patterns with 8 tracks. So There's a lot in there.
And you can play many instruments on one track.
And you can play many instruments on one track if you sample them down, rendering and things like that. So like you could go into your DAW and use, you know, some Eventide black hole reverb thing from a synth going through it, sample that, export that out, put it into your tracker, and that would literally just tail out on one of your tracks. And that could be very ambient if you wanted to. And also don't forget too, you've got your track lengths here, right? But you've also got your time. So I've got mine set up at the moment as external clock. I can change this back to internal clock, and I can change it to like a lower BPM. So there's all that stuff is in here. So yeah, you could definitely make this into an ambient thing. I've heard lots of mod track stuff that's ambient before, for sure.
Can you go through some of the effects in the unit? Reverb, delay, such.
Yeah.
Are there some shimmer reverb?
So the reverb
Rons, if you take that rather nasty sort of wavetabley sort of sound and start adding a few sort of delays and reverb on it, if you can, just to, because that would be an interesting.
I could.
That would be interesting to see how they sound.
All right, let's turn all this other shit off. Let's turn dirt off.
The moderators will censor you, Ramsey, if you get not careful. All that swearing.
Now, to delete that guitar thing, I just hit record and then I hit delete. I'm just going to delete the guitar out. There's a little chord I played. Take that guitar out there. All right, now we go back into double pattern tap, and we want to have okay, so that FX1 is delay send. So let's turn delay send off. There, let's turn that off. Oh, that's the wrong track. Okay, so there we go. We want to put this, you want to have this as a reverb, don't you? So there's your reverb there. Undo. And then do the same for that one. FX, reverb, send. So now we can play that.
But are there any master settings or master reverb settings?
Master reverb is here. I think there is. I just don't remember where it is. Config? No. I thought it was in here somewhere. Oh, there's the reverb delay there. There you go. So you've got size. Yeah, let's make the size of this big and give it more diffusion. Let's try that.
But as I heard, the effects are something new, so I guess some updates will make more of them.
Possibly.
The first version, which was out, only had the reverb and no delay and all that, I think.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, now you've got it.
All right, let's take. I want to move that. How do I move it? I think I just have to hit E4. Note. And then delete that. Delete that. Wow. So that reverb is huge.
Yeah.
There it is there. So I can mute it. It's not muting. Okay. That doesn't work.
That may be the input for the reverb.
Yeah, you could be right.
Though there are the peak meter. I don't know.
Turn that down a bit. So it was pretty big, the reverb, definitely. Yeah. I actually never touched that before, so there you go. Just a bit of a fiddle. I mean, I think one of the things I like about this is I think it's really easy to get around. I've seen hardware samplers and they're convoluted to get around. I think this is quite easy to get around. But at the same time, I agree with a lot of other people are saying. I think it's kind of limited, right? It's not going to be an MPC. It's not going to give you the sort of guts that an MPC gives you. I don't think it's ever wanting to be that. Remember, it's only 16-bit 44.1. So they're not even trying to get into that sort of high-end pro audio sort of land with, that CD quality samples at 16-bit. It's not the greatest, right?
I think it's good.
It's good enough. It's kind of...
I think it's good. It's limited.
Yeah.
Limits can make you more creative, where if it can do millions of stuff, you never have time to be creative because you have to learn all the stuff. It's good to
limitations. Good, yeah, I agree. Yeah. And as you said, Andy, it's a different way than a piano roll or a arranger or a clip launching sort of system. It's a completely different way of looking at making music. What it kind of makes you do is it kind of makes you feel like you've got resources and you're kind of mapping them out. I like it. I kind of like the idea about it. It's like blocks. You're building blocks. The whole intuitiveness of it it's pretty cool. I mean, like I said before earlier, if you've never had experience with trackers or using a tracker before, or even just watching one play, it kind of would be very, very alien to this. Definitely, I would see this as being very alien to someone. Sorry, didn't mean to do that. I would hit the wrong button. I had it record armed. I showed how you can do the microphone line in. I showed the guitar coming in on the normal line in. What I didn't show you is this has got an FM radio. Should I show you that? That's pretty cool. It's a bit like the OP1, right? So I don't know if it's going to break any sort of copyright rules or anything like that. Who cares? You got a radio, and then you literally hold down this one. Now it uses this cable here, which is your line out cable, as the antenna. There you go, we've got something there. Better not do that for too long because there's
Bananarama.
That will definitely get me in trouble. But there you go. So you can actually sample the radio.
So it has FM.
Let me do this quickly.
It has FM radio.
Right.
Yeah.
So I've just quickly, it's terrible sounding, but I've just quickly sampled that, right? How do you do
A bit of ABBA in there too, I think. There you go. That was definitely gimme, gimme, gimme. Yeah, there we go, Swagoo.
So let's do crap from radio. This is how you name tracks, people. Crap. No.
But I would rather like if it had AM radio, shortwave radio, because FM
would be much better. Much better.
And the FM band
noises,
is being killed here because of yes, it's closed down, so it will be digital everything soon. AM radio is more fun to sample to.
I'm getting used to this keyboard now.
I used to take out a little handheld radio to gigs for that reason.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, stink. And
then you go to sample loader. And Crap from radio. There we go. And then we can go to sample editor, and we can play with this now.
I didn't notice. Could you change the dial, the frequency while you recorded it?
I don't know. Let's try. No, because when you're recording, it takes you off that screen. Yeah, no.
Yeah, sometimes the selection of channels is what makes it fun to sample.
Yeah. Okay, let's try this. Oh, that'll do. All right, so now we can play with this, right? Sample playback. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. Granular. Length. And now play it.
Wow.
Let's do ping pong. That's cool fun. I mean, shit, you can just have fun with that, eh? It's like a toy. There you go. You can muck around. Okay, but yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, look, honestly, there's some really good mod trackers out there, and they'll make this thing sing. And just like there is with Electron gear, they'll make their thing sing, and just like there is with NPC, they'll make their thing sing. So there's always the hardware gurus,
people out there
right?
who will absolutely love it.
Yep. There's always the hardware gurus. Yeah, like I said, for me, the attraction to this was probably a little bit romantic, and I got it reasonably cheap. I think it was like 400 euros at the time, which I thought was pretty good. I don't know what they're going through at the moment. Someone will tell us in chat. Where do you get these from? Gear for Music?
They're about 500 quid. I had a little look. I think 525 or something like that. On
£450. So yeah, I got probably a little bit cheaper than. Yeah, it got a little bit cheaper. So yeah. Anyway, it ended up being about $700 in my coin, which I thought was reasonable. Anything that I can buy overseas that's under 1,000 in my coin, it sails in underneath the import duty tax radar, because we've got an $1,000 threshold here. So that sort of stuff is cool. Unlike the S2400. Hey, Brad. Anyway, all he has to do is just change the price on it. It's not like, his name's Yamaha or Korg. It's not like he's breaking the law. Anyway, enough rant about that. So we have forgotten about the chatties quite a bit today. It's hard for me to do this and talk to the chatties at the same time. Anyway, George has left. Everyone was kind of completely gutted by my demonstration today. And that's how my demonstrations are. So if you don't like my demonstrations, go watch another YouTuber. My demonstrations are always like this. They're raw, they're newbie level, they're not going to be perfect. I'm not here to sell the product. I'm here to show what it's like when someone gets one brand new and they're using it for the first time.
There'll be some people who have seen that and go, actually, this is great. This is just what I'm after. And some people will look at it and go, oh no, that's not me. That's one heck of a glass of water you've got there, Rans. There.
It's my liter. So it's all about. I should show you this. It's all
3
about
liters a day.
I get to do 2 of these a day, and that way I don't have to worry about calculating how many drinks I need to drink. Just as long as that empties twice a day. I mean,
when it's 35 degrees centigrade outside, you need to.
Oh yeah, I'll probably sweat out maybe a cup a day in just sweat, just generally over the day. So if you don't drink water in Australia, you will get a headache within 24 hours, a massive dehydration headache. It's guaranteed. Like you guys where you live, you probably don't get so much dehydration. I don't know, maybe you do, I'm not sure. But yeah, where it's always hot weather, you dehydrate very quickly. So yeah, I've got water everywhere.
Always making sure we've got water around.
Hmm.
I drink a litre or so a day, easy.
Yeah, I mean, a
Of
litre's,
water, that is.
in a colder climate, a
Other
litre's
liquids
good.
get drunk too.
Well, it doesn't really count because alcohol tends to sort of dehydrate what you've got inside you, so it kind of takes away.
Oh,
So, but teas and coffees would count.
that explains everything.
Yeah, teas and coffees would count though. Those sort of things.
Well, okay. No beer today. I'm on the coffee. I'm not
one
saying
thing
it's dry
about-
January yet, but we'll.
One thing about the tracker.
Yeah.
You haven't told us how well it is to throw at your screen.
Yes, the famous Ramsey quote. Yes, I haven't.
It's quite
I think
small
it'd be
and firm,
pretty lame, actually. I think like a big, 88 key Korg M3 would do some damage to your screen.
Don't try and throw one of those. You'll put your back out, Ramsey.
Yeah,
You wouldn't be able
the
to
track
throw
is
that
kind of
like that at all.
it'd be like throwing your thong or your flip flop at the screen, wouldn't it? It'd be like there's nothing to it. Let's show you this anyway. I just want to show you how this is really small. I'm going to take this all off now, so there's no more showing this tonight because I can't be bothered. But it's tiny. It's really small and very, very lightweight. And the whole thing is metal. So, I don't know. What do you need to see next to it? A mobile phone? It's pretty small. So,
How well does it fit
laptop bag
on top behind the force?
Sorry?
Try to place it behind the force.
On the force?
Akai force. Yeah. Behind and up.
Oh, there's a wall
if you
there.
know what I mean.
There's a wall
Yeah,
there.
yeah, like that.
Yeah, there's a wall there. No,
A little smaller, but okay. Yeah.
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 You want me to hold it there?
Yeah, or it could stand on the force. Then I have something to use the force for.
Oh, come on.
Woohoo.
That's not very nice.
Couple of lumps of blue tack could keep it there, Ramsey.
Oh, I mean, look, the difference between that and that is like it's insane what you can do on that compared to that. So yeah,
but sometimes it will be faster on the simplest.
that's what I'm saying. Like the way to get to menus and screens and things on this is really, really quick. And I find the operating system pretty snappy on this as well. Oh, there was one thing I didn't show you guys on this. There was one thing. And that was the, well, I won't even tell you, I'll just show you. We only need the line out. This was part of the firmware update that came out just, what was it, last week, just before Christmas? Okay, so you go to File, and you click on Games, and you can choose a game. Alter Ego, Chase, LAN, Lawnmower, Utako, or Zooming Secretary. Pick one.
Lawnmower.
Lawnmower. All right. We can play games. Now, where's start would be over here somewhere, right?
Okay, I'm going to get it.
Anyway, so you can you can cut someone's grass on the Polyend Tracker as well.
Oh dear.
Yeah, it's a bit. I don't know. The Korg mini log, how it's got the ping pong game when you're loading the oscillators tuning or whatever it is. That's pretty cool. I love that sort of stuff. And apparently they're going to let you download and install more games on it as well. They all fit. That all fits on the SD card, by the way.
The Minilog XD also has a game if you hit a key while starting it. Not a key, not a note, but a key.
Yeah. Like I think
there's a game in the display.
Yeah. Wigoos asked, can you load any NES format? I think you can. I think that it has to be a certain era. It can't be like I don't think it's Super NES or anything like that. So I think it's got a full NES emulator in there, which is why you can play those games. I think those games are open source though, which is why they allow those. But you could definitely put any pirated ones on your own personal one if you wanted. Yeah. So Robbie Puricelli's jumped into the show. Robbie, did you see the bit earlier about the where is it? The Fairlight for sale that doesn't work.
It's you and me that.
From Tone Tweakers. Tell us if you've seen that.
Yeah, it's a story in New York. Yeah.
I'll just hold that up for him to have a bit of a look. It doesn't work. We could get the
said
list.
he did. Said he's seen it.
You said he'd seen it? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Is that something that you'd want to add to your collection for that sort of money? I don't think so. But anyway, yeah. I don't know. So
for spare parts, maybe.
Fairly simple fix. Is the price reasonable, Robbie? Actually,
yeah.
That price of about 10,000 quid, is that sort of a reasonable asking price? None of us are really sure.
Yeah. While we're waiting for him to answer that, you probably could fit the entire NES library on there. It's not that big. Those games are not that big at all. They're tiny. He's already got 3 and an army of 2Xs. So what I want to know in chat is, and this is completely non-sales question. This is just like I'm hoping that Polyend are watching this. Out of the people that don't own and have Mod Tracker history or experience, would that be something that you'd be looking at getting? Is that something that kind of really excites you? Is that a cool thing? I mean, it's nothing I've ever seen before in terms of like a musical sampling thing that sits in my studio here. It's something that I used to play with on computers. Like it's kind of crossed the threshold. Does that make sense? It's now a device that we can now use in our music creation world, and it can sort of bring that mod sort of world across. Is that something that would interest you? Just let us know in the chat while and don't forget to flag my name if you want to ask a question or so forth about it. Yeah. Happy New Year to you.
I am considering it.
You are?
I am considering it.
Wow. Interesting.
But it's because of the ambient video I saw. It was really good, and the thing that you can play so many samples and run it at a low tempo.
Yep. Yeah, you can run it really low, like 20 or something. But yeah, the reverb algorithm in that is the latest one, and they did upgrade it at some stage, and I can't remember if it was the last firmware or the firmware before. So that's obviously gotten a bit of a kick with some coding. It didn't seem too bad. Like when we were mucking around with that before, it definitely had some tail length on it. Like it was reverbing way past the end of that pattern finishing, and it was just continuing on even after I stopped playing. So that was a cool thing. Back to the chatties. Ooh. So we've got Robbie saying the price is a tad high for something where you didn't know exactly what was at fault. Yeah. If it was, yeah, that's exactly right. If it was working, that would probably be relatively okay to expect to pay that for like a Fairlight 3. I think. But because it's not working, that to me makes it kind of questionable. Okay. I mean, that's that's the kind of. There was someone who talked about these trackers on, I think it was Electronauts. I remember when they first launched the idea, and someone said, "Why don't you just put an Amiga inside this box and just make it work like an Amiga?" Yeah, I mean that would have been interesting. It would have been different. Sorry, Mr. Mac, I've been really set aside with this tonight. That is not a force stand. That is literally a laptop stand. And there's nothing new about it. That's actually what has been there all along. And I've had different things up on there. But I've actually kind of discovered that that's actually a pretty cool place to put the force because it's really sturdy. This is an ODY USA brand laptop stand for DJs, and it's really sturdy. Like I'm doing that, and it's actually shaking my whole desk to make it move like that. The whole desk is shaking. So I actually think that's pretty cool. Should go back to that view, or even better, that view. So yeah, it's just a laptop stand. What I like about it is it's got a little tray underneath here, and that's where I put my little wireless Mac keyboard because I don't really use it. I've got like a thing called Synergy where I share the keyboard and mouse across the network. But sometimes you need to use it for, logging into operating system, stuff like that. So it's kind of tucks away under there. And I also like it too because my ATEM sits beautifully just underneath and all the cables tuck underneath like that. So it's kind of just like a really nice thing. And while I'm working on stuff, it's right next to my computer. So it works. It's a worky thing. A new change to the studio. Yep. If this thing was an Amiga, don't forget the Amiga had a weird sound card where it had, I think it was 2 voices for the left and 2 voices for the right channel, which kind of was, in a way, it was kind of annoying. I actually found it annoying. You did get used to this, hearing that in games and things, but the whole point of it was supposed to be more for game sound effects as opposed to making music on it. But in that sense, though, one of the nice things about the Amiga sound card is it had a Butterworth analog filter in it. So it actually did sound quite nice. The sounds that came out of each of the channels was quite cool. Not all plumbed in, no. Like even today, I was setting up for the show. I still didn't have my connection from my MX1, which I'm not sure I'm going to leave there. At the moment, it's sitting over here. And I didn't have that connected into my main mixer, so I had to do that today. So they're still kind of mucking around. Like what I was playing with today was I have got only 2 cameras set up here. So that's kind of right down the back corner where my, Behringer stuff is. And then I think I've got the next one. Looks like it's turned off. Yeah, it's turned off. The next one's turned off, so I can't reach it right now. So I only plumbed 2 cameras in. I used to have 4, so I've got to put 2 more of those in. I did set up tonight my moving camera, my PTZ, so I can kind of do a bit of this for you guys. So that's set back up again. That's cool. Zooming right into the Behringer modules that I showed last week. So that's kind of cool. I like having that set up again. But yeah, I haven't had a chance to really do anything with it because it's just been so busy with Christmas and stuff. So yeah, got to get back to doing stuff. But yeah, I kind of feel that setup that I've got, where are we? If I show that shot there, I kind of feel the MX1 is annoying where it is there. And the stuff that I've got out the front, like the Strike Fed and the Rocket, they're things that I don't always leave there. So they're things that I'm using currently for a little blue art project that I'm doing at the moment. And then the blue art will probably move, and I'm not really sure actually. And you'll notice too that I used to have like a little hutch that was here. like I made like a handmade hutch thing that was here and had another shelf above it. I kind of don't know if I want that back. So I'm kind of feeling at the moment that it kind of looked a bit ugly, and it was kind of like that if you were sitting down. If you're standing up, it's okay. It wasn't usable. So where I'm kind of feeling at the moment is I feel that I might get a custom Eurorack case made to replace these two Arturia cases and have it 3 or 4 tier, and that way I can get rid of the Eurorack cases that are sort of becoming sort of long down that way, and it'll give me more space for other things. So that's kind of where I'm thinking I'm going with that at the moment, but I'm not really sure, because obviously that stuff costs money to make, and I'm not the best woodworker in the world. You saw my hutch that I made before. It looked pretty bad. It was like half IKEA wood and then half used pine that I had lying in the garage. But anyway, who cares? It's just your studio. Heaps of questions. Can you program these movements in the cam? Yes, I can. Yes. So you can do it 2 ways. You can do it with a remote control, and these are all settings that you can set in them. So you move the camera, press set, press a number. Or in vMix, which I showed you guys a couple of weeks ago, you can actually set it inside the vMix software, which is what I've done here. So yeah, it's really cool. You can go in and say, for example, I wanted to zoom in on my blue arp, right? So let's do that. It's not really going to do it because it's not low enough. Let's choose something else. Let's choose the MPC. Whoa. Hello, everyone. Zoom in on that. So let's say we liked that and we wanted to keep that as an input. We just click create. And now I can go down to these scenes down here. So that'll go back to where I was before. That'll go across to that Behringer module, and this will now go back to the one I just created. There you go. So yeah, it's pretty cool, and it was that easy. Yeah.
Excuse me.
Did I decide against it? Yeah, I did. I did decide against the 19-inch rack top. I was going to have the that stand there, and I was going to put the ARP 2600 from Behringer in there. So I'm still not sure if I do get that, because still can't get them in Australia yet. So I don't know where I would put that. But I would envisage somewhere along here it'll be, because it's definitely going to come. I need to find my shaving brush. Yes, I know. Yes, it is over there, by the way. Yes, Andy. There is definitely nothing.
One of the
wrong
best
with
suggestions you ever made, that, Rans. It's
yeah.
Look at that.
Sadie, the cleaning lady.
I love this thing. Honestly, it's one of the best things you've ever suggested. I love it.
It works.
Yeah, your strife definitely needs a good dusting.
Yeah, I know. And the thing is, like, I would dust in here probably not quite every day, but it gets close to that. And it's just one thing about Australia. It's just very dry and dusty here. And we've had new carpet installed here, so you'd think that it wouldn't be too dusty in here. So obviously, God knows.
Yeah, if it's dusty outside and you've got all the windows open, and it does make a difference. So even here in the UK in the summer, I notice you get much more dust settling on things with your windows open.
Yeah.
But yeah, certainly that little shaving brush, I can recommend that to everybody. It's 1 or 2 people. Yeah, Max said he uses a 4-inch wide painting brush, and there's all sorts of things, but I just the shape of it just get. Ooh,
it gets, and it's soft, so it doesn't damage anything. Exactly. Yeah.
It was lovely. Yeah.
Yeah, it is really good.
Really good. Really good idea, that one.
Other people use paintbrushes. Just out of curiosity, you can use a paintbrush.
I do.
Here we go.
Leaf blower.
I'm just going to show you that I've just been playing with my camera while you were talking, Andy. And there's my shaving brush. I found it.
Hey.
It's sitting over there.
No.
Oh man, you can have so much fun with that camera. It's so cool.
See, those duster things are good too. Yeah, but you getting round your. Excuse me, sorry, Darren, but getting around your knobs and stuff with the cloth. You need to go there with a brush.
Leaf blower.
Much better.
There's a YouTuber guy that I was watching. So I don't know if you guys remember. There was a while back. I did a video where I was talking about the RTX voice, which is this thing that NVIDIA brought out that would use an algorithm that would make your microphone cancel out any sort of background noise. And this guy that showed it, he had a leaf blower in his studio, and he was like holding the leaf blower like this. There's the mic there, right? He was holding it this far away from the mic, and it was like he couldn't hear it. So this like NVIDIA, because it's all done hardware on the graphics card, it's incredible. So I don't know if you guys saw it. His name's Barnacles. You should go check it out. It's actually pretty funny. The leaf blower in his home, inside he's like, and he couldn't hear anything. So that hardware algorithm that cancels out background noise obviously does a pretty good job. I tried it with me on this channel for a while, and I just didn't. I thought it was a little bit too aggressive. So I don't mind a little bit of noise in the background, because I use the Isotope RX RX6 denoise plugin on my mic, so it gets rid of kind of crickets, and because Darren used to complain about crickets, so he always complains, that Darren guy just complains. He doesn't answer emails and complains. No, just kidding.
Well,
That's fine.
yeah. So, Darren, we're missing you.
Yeah, he's been MIA. Absolutely. Yeah. This is, if you're wondering what the guys are saying in chat, this is just for people who are watching this on a replay. That's what they're saying. They're talking about dust blowers and leaf blowers, and it's really topical about synths this week, as you can see. The trouble with dust eating nanobots,
you've got to keep them clean.
Dust is mostly dead skin, so they might malfunction. I must have a lot of dead skin then, because if dust is mostly dead skin, I must be shedding.
No, it does depend on the time of the
loads.
year and where you are. Like if
Maybe
you're
don't-
in a dry and dusty place.
Maybe I don't moisturize enough, Andy. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know any guys that moisturize. Seriously, I'm sure there are, because you go to those department stores and you see that
all the time.
This manscaping
time.
section.
All the time.
Look at you. There you go. See, there's guys doing it.
Some people think it's hilarious. I absolutely. Well, I have very dry skin and I have bad eczema, and I. Have to.
Okay. Well, that's fair.
And but
if you've had eczema,
some
that's
people,
fair enough.
You know,
Yeah.
mock. Oh, you moisturise twice a day. What are you? Some kind. I don't know. It's quite. It's why I've retained my gorgeous, youthful good looks, and I'm knocking on the door of 52.
Just ask Andy. He'll tell us. Where do we buy the tickets?
God. Well, quite. Yeah. I'm here all week, mate.
Dear.
Oh dear.
But yeah, so I don't know. I was kind of thinking when I was kind of mucking around with my studio just after I got the carpets put in, would I completely do it completely differently? Like at one stage, I actually was considering, instead of putting my computers here, I was actually going to put them at the opposite end. And I thought, well, what's the point? It's literally just going to do the same thing at the opposite end. It's just not like, just do it as you did it before. But for me, as the rule was, don't bring crap in that was just sitting in here hoarding. Bring stuff in that you need. And so I've got a whole bunch of stuff sitting in another room that's kind of just like a spare room in a house. And as I need things, I'll bring it in. And after about a month, if I haven't touched it, it's going up on Gumtree or it's going up on eBay or whatever it decides to go to. And one of the things that it's a little bit sad to say, but I think the Korg Volkers might be disappearing because I haven't touched them for a hell of a long time. All of my Korg Volkers.
Me too. And do you know what? I was thinking that then. Do you know what I did? For the first time in ages, I actually switched the Volker bass on and started just and it sounds great. It sounds Absolutely.
Oh, they do.
absolutely.
They sound brilliant.
So tell me if you hear this now. Go. Can you hear that coming? Is that coming through?
No,
I have no
it's
idea.
not.
I can't hear anything.
No.
Right. Well, it must be. Oh, is it that slide? Is it that one?
Oh yeah. Whoa, that's loud. It's peaking.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, because I told you. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So just
No,
turn the volume
I'm
down
just
on
going
it.
to play about with it and just. Well, I just pushed the fader. I can't hear because I've got my headphones plugged into the computer.
No, but the actual Volca itself, you can just turn the volume down on it.
Well, yeah,
Back off about 25%.
No, it was just I was just messing about with it, and I was thinking because as my Go case is apparently it's going to arrive next week, which is quite exciting. I might actually have a bit of a stock take and go right. What have I not used in ages, and what do I no longer need? Of course, I was looking at down here the Korg micro Korg. I was having a bit of a play around with this one too, and just.
I can't throw my micro.
I always feel
out.
guilty.
Yeah, I can't throw mine
I feel very guilty about it. So, yeah, so resistance is futile. Yes, my it is. Well, I do think that there might be some things going. I think now that I'm getting my head much more into the MPC up here, I think that the Volca sample, the Electride sampler, may well find its way out. I won't get rid of the synth. I like that too much. I think I really like the sounds you can get out of this one, but certainly I might actually part with one or two things. And then I thought, well, I've got this BeatStep Pro in front of me, which I hardly ever switch on. So again, I switched that on and started routing it to the SH01A and the Pro One, and I was thinking, actually, this is great fun. I'm really enjoying it. This is fab. And so all these things I thought I might actually end up selling. Well, maybe you're right. Maybe you have to say, okay, this doesn't get the use it should have, and there are other avenues. Well.
It's funny you mentioned two things
reasonable.
that are probably going to be on my chopping block: the BeatStep Pro and also my Electro 2 sample is probably going to go as well.
Yeah, when you've got that force sitting there and the live, why would you?
Don't need it.
Why would you?
No.
I mean, it is quick and it is easy to use, but the functionality that box has, you've replaced with something else, essentially.
Native VS.
To me, the Electro,
don't feel guilty.
The
You're just hoarding.
synth. Yeah, the Electro synth. I think it's actually inbuilt sounds. I think are really nice, and I love when you can always tweak quite nice on that one. That's why I'm quite happy to keep that one sitting there. But I do think you sell those as another 3 or 4 little modules to shove into a case when the case eventually lands. So, I think. Sorry, go on.
No, I'm kind of with you. I'm just kind of thinking, like when I play with the BeatStep Pro, it's cool fun, but there's just so many things about that thing that annoy the pants off of me, like the ground loop noise when you plug it in. If you don't use their special stupid adapter that they give you, and even if you do use that, there's still issues with it, and the octave tuning on the voltage on the CV outs is not perfect. It's just there's so many little things that annoy the crap out of me.
Set that up. Yeah, I mean, again, I haven't yet used it with CV. I've only used it with MIDI, which of course is absolutely fine. But it was, I mean, one thing that I was noticing, oddly enough, we talked a while ago about the sort of keyboard tracking of things and pitch stability.
Yep.
So I was playing about, oddly enough, with the Pro One, from controlling it from the Supernova over a full 5-octave range, and it was absolutely tracking 100%, no problem whatsoever. Again, I don't know if you can.
I can hear that.
It's covered in delays and all sorts.
Yeah,
it's covered in delays and all sorts of stuff. But
it
was
if you try that
really.
If you do that through MIDI, it'll track fine. But if you do that through CV, it may not.
CV, you're on different issues. That's true.
Yeah. So I've had issues
because it must have
with tracking with some of the Behringer
CV
stuff.
converter built into it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It might not be it might not. It might be perfect. You know, so I haven't tried it actually, to be honest. What I have tried though is I definitely had the Pro One module set up via MIDI from my MPC, and I love it. Like it just fires off notes and stuff. It's beautiful. It's a really good sounding mono synth, definitely. So that's never going to go.
The price seems to have dropped as well. I noticed that Toolman had got them for £260, which was a good sort of £30 cheaper than when I bought it. So because I was thinking about, you know, sort of, do I get a Model D? Do I get a Neutron? Do I get so I was having a good look at other prices of things, but I think if you're interested in the Pro One, it's definitely now's a good time to get one. They seem to have dropped in price. So
hasn't dropped over here, but it's if it's dropped over where you are, it's a good time to get one. I mean, they're pretty cheap as it was anyway, wasn't it? It was like what was it, 300 quid or something?
I think I paid 289. I paid for
289, yeah. See, just a shy under,
May time, so whatever.
Yeah, I mean that's so cheap, really. See, there you go, Henrik. That was they were Curtis, weren't they? They were Curtis oscillators.
Yep. The 240s. Yep.
I think so.
There's so many synths that had those Curtis oscillators in them. So many, like, yeah. Like
well, we've talked before about this and how actually different they sound. So it's not just the oscillator chip; it's the rest.
It's
of
the signal path
passing through.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've definitely said that. I mean, the SH101 didn't sound anything like a Pro One.
No.
So there's all the distortions and things that come in.
I absolutely love the filter in the Pro One. I think that it's got a really special filter in it. Yeah. Because you can really make it. Sound. You can really kind of get. It's almost like it's got a ring mod to it. Do you know what I mean? It's like a very, very subtle ring mod to the filter. It's got a bit of sharpness to it
within the filter.
Yeah,
you can drive it. It doesn't drive in the same way that something like a Moog does, but you can drive it hard into it. But it does have a nice. I think it's got a lovely sound. But
by the way, when you mucked around with your audio before, you've gone quiet again. So I don't know what you did to your mic.
Have I? Pop that back. Is that what I just pulled it down?
Yeah, just speak a bit quieter.
Okay, so talk quietly.
So yeah, I think we probably would have been doing. Wow, 2 hours and 40 minutes. Oh, sorry, I had completely lost track of time. Lost tracker of time. Yeah, I'm going to continue doing these shows, showing things. I think it's kind of the way to go until I start running out of gear to show, and I don't think that's ever going to happen. So yeah, what do you guys want me to show next week? I'm happy to show other stuff.
Hey, what's happening next week? Well, somebody will come up with something inspiring that we can talk about. I mean, some of the sort of interesting debates that we've had, like the analog versus digital, was cool, and that was quite an interesting one. And did we do a hardware versus software? Or are we all too one-sided for that? I mean, I know we've done quite a deep.
Yeah, we've done clones versus remakes versus originals. Yeah, we've done a few of those sort of heavy topics. I've got a few more that I'll probably split up a couple of times. Each week I might not do the show and tell. I might do a topic like you said. So there's plenty of information to chew into. What would be nice though is someone release a new product, like not just leak it. Like let's actually Novation. Let's we know about it now. Just release it. Just let us know about it.
Well,
so we can talk about it properly.
Somebody actually said in the chat that January is usually quite a good time for new products coming out as they sort of build up to
the NAMM
sort of trade shows like
normally NAMM is kind of towards the end of January, isn't it? So
that's not happening this year, is it? But I think there'll be some things coming out fairly soon, some new bits and bobs.
Yes, and while there's NAMM, there's also the BAM. The Behringer.
Yeah. They rent a house out just down the road. So they don't have to pay the NAMM fees.
And they do have a few products
through the last few months.
They do. I mean, there's a few things that they've said. There's a few things that they said they were going to release, but they never have, like that Selena string thing. They've never done anything.
Yeah, that was
we haven't heard anything about that.
The PPG,
the Pro 800,
the Oberheim,
Pro 800, Oberheim, CS80. VCS
Pro 800
3.
would be great to see.
There's a few. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually,
Um,
to be honest, yeah, Henrik, I'd forgotten about the not Poly 800. Got to be careful. That Pro
Pro 800.
800 that they were
Pro,
that they
yeah.
showed. Yeah, that's quite tempting for me. And certainly the Oberheim, if they get that UBX ever out to market, and again last year they hinted a few times at that, didn't they? That it was there, it was a thing. So we've got to hope that it comes. I think quite a lot of people are anticipating that. Something like the Selena would be great. I'd love that. I'd just snap that one up.
So Sequential never had a Pro 800, did they?
No,
they had a Prophet 600, didn't they?
600.
Yeah.
So it was a 6-voice version. Yeah.
So when was the Prophet 600 after the Prophet 5? It was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was one of their last sort of. It was their last analog things. It was the same. It was the same sort of period as the multi-track and the what was the other one called? There was the multi-track and the
6-track.
There's the drum tracks, drum machine, 6-track. Thank you, Henrik. That was it. The 6-track. So they had that sort of family of synths. I owned it. I owned a multi-track for a short period of time, but it went wrong, so I took it back and ended up with the DW6000 instead. Not the best of trades, but it was. Oh, here we go.
He's got one.
Yes, lovely.
Hang on, let me get the full screen. No, wait, don't put it away. He's put it away. I've got full screen. We're like synth porn. 6-track. Look at that.
Well, what a nice. That was it. Very, very nice.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a single oscillator synth, but it sounds great. Six voices, 6-track sequencer. Yeah. It was like one of the first multi-timbral synths with multi-timbral MIDI implementation. The 6-track and the multi-track came out, which is sort of slightly repackaged version of it, slightly more enhanced sequencer. But certainly as a historic synth, the 6-track is the first or one of the very first multi-timbral synths is a bit of a milestone. Yeah, I quite enjoyed seeing that, Henrik. Thank you for flashing that at us. So
before we go, I want to ask a question because I actually don't know. So the difference between a Prophet 5 and a Prophet 600 sound-wise, a lot of people didn't like the Prophet 600. Why is that? Why do they like the Prophet 5 so much more? Was it the oscillators or something? Didn't they both
I don't know
have
what
Curtis
the oscillator
chips?
chips are in the 600. I don't think they're the same. They're not the same. It doesn't have.
I know they
same
definitely.
sort of character.
I know they definitely had different filters. So they had the SSM filters in the Prophet 5, didn't they? So, yeah,
it's a different. It's a different machine. I mean, it still has a character to it in a one time. I have played a Prophet 600 a couple of times, and it's in itself it's a lovely sounding polysynth. I just don't think it's got quite say the sort of character to it, and certainly it's a smaller machine. It's nothing like as deep as the Prophet 5. The Prophet 5 is a pretty deep, substantial machine, and it's not a whole wooden case. I mean, it has wooden panels at the end, but the Prophet 5 was a whole wooden enclosure thing, so that made it much more substantial.
So it might have been more like a
box.
Yeah, like a sort of what's the word? The physical presence it gave you. That's what people were romantic about. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Fair
enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's why I was kind of excited with that. Behringer said I did the Pro 800 because I thought to myself, well, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to afford where I live with freight and the dollar value and the inflation and all the bullshit that we have to put up with getting gear down here. I don't think I'll ever be able to afford a Prophet 5, even with the new Remax, right? It's going to be too expensive. But I'll definitely be able to afford the Pro 800. And so if that's the closest thing I'll ever get to a Prophet 5 sound, I'm sure it'll be not the same, but like I'm sure I can get close sounds to it. So I'm sure. If that's not the case, then I'll just stay away from both of them. But I've always wanted a Prophet 5. definitely. I think most of us who haven't got one do. It's just, yeah. Mac reckons I should get a
Polybrute,
Polybrute.
says Mark.
They're so big and bulky, though. They take up so much room, those things.
Oh, says you was going to get yourself a Moog 1, and that's not big and bulky. Come on.
Well, if I got a Moog 1, it'll be purely
That'll
because...
be it. Nothing else.
Yeah,
Forever.
that'll just be it.
Oh,
Everything
man.
else, I'll have to sell the house. I'll just live in a tent and have a Moog 1. I don't know if
I don't think I'd get it in this room.
I don't think I can afford a Moog 1, if I'm honest. I mean, it's a dream, but I don't think I can afford it. I'd probably have to sell a lot of gear off to be able to afford it, and I don't know if I want to.
You have to be reasonable, don't you? You have to be sensible sometimes.
Like some guys you can get it on finance and you can slowly pay it off over a year to 18 months and things like that. I don't know if I could be bothered, if I'm honest. Like, I'll probably end up hating it if I have, money coming out of my bank each month. It'll probably end up pissing me off. So yeah, I don't really like doing that. When I buy gear, I like to spend what's in the bank, and then that's it.
Same. Not doing credit anymore.
Credit.
If I've not got the money for it, I can't have it.
Yeah. We got an MC707 for £535. So I don't know. I don't get why that Roland charged so much for their gear. I don't know if it's worth that. I like it. I think it's cool, but I wouldn't pay £500 for an MC707. Sorry. I think that's way... Then again, I'm contradicting myself because there's things that I've paid money for, stupid money for, that...
if it's what you want, you'll pay for it. If it ticks your box and you like the sound and you're happy with what it does and you can deal with its workflow, then you'll go for it. That's always the case, isn't it? I mean, sometimes... I mean, nowadays, if you look at the SH01A, I mean, I paid £350 for that, and then a few months later, you can get a Behringer for 50 quid less, and so on. And then you think, well, no, I've made my choice, and I was happy to pay that money at that time, and therefore I'm still happy with that box. So
yeah. Speaking of my Behringer,
things are always going to get cheaper.
My little red Behringer MS101 has got the mod wheel thing it's got some fault with it, so it's already crapped out. So I've got to go and have a look inside it and take it apart and find out what's going on. It's probably something that's just kind of fallen off. It doesn't feel like it's broken. It's just not springing properly. I think
it's not springing properly, so the spring's gone. Yeah.
Could be, yeah. It'll probably just be I might have knocked it when I moved it the other day, so it'll be stupidness than anything. It is crazy talk. Sorry, I kind of corrected myself. I wouldn't pay £500 for an MC707, but I would pay £500 for something else that I really wanted. So it's just really showing that I don't really want an MC707. That's all it's showing. Send it back. Yeah, I could send it back, definitely. But I don't think it was. I think it was me that caused it. When I was moving my gear out and back in, I think I did something. I think I bumped it. So I have a bit of ethics with that sort of stuff.
That's always an issue when you start taking things down and moving them around. I mean, I'm probably going to have a think again in here about how things are set up when that case arrives and where it's going to go and what I'm going to put it on, where's it going to live. I think my next purchase is actually going to be a 3-tier A-frame stand with lots of little slats for putting things on, which will go where the piano is. I'll take the piano up, put that on the lower tier, and build up again over there. Oh, we'll have a think.
With those 3-tier stands, can you get the back legs to be vertical so that will sit flush against the wall? Because the ones I've seen, a lot of them don't actually allow you to do that. They sit kind of off the wall, which is kind of annoying.
A bit frustrating, but I'll have to have a look. There's also where there's a radiator here, and then there's like a wooden box that sort of encases the piping, but that wooden box along the skirting board takes up about you watch 6, 7, 8 inches. Like, well, that's a waste of space. I can't shove the legs back against the the radiator in the wall, which is a frustration. So I could always hack it out, I suppose. But you can get Jasper's racks with straight back, he says Mark M.
Yeah,
well,
so that'd be the
what I was
better
sort of-
ones to get. Yeah,
Yeah.
because then you can kind of
Go for
push them
19
up
inch rack
against the wall.
desktop, not 3-tier stand. That's not what I was meaning, Mac. I'm talking definitely about keyboard stands. I'm talking about definitely 3-tier keyboard stand with stuff. And I've got rack cases, you know, but I'm talking about ways of organizing surface and stuff. So, that's okay. No need to say sorry, Mac. It's worth a ponder. It's all worth a ponder.
Worth a check, yeah. He said he blew £800 in December. What did he blew it on? Just modules and stuff, or just gear, just racks? Wow. Yeah. I do need, Andy. I actually do. I'm thinking about the same thing. I actually do need something to put my, because I've got quite a few keyboard synths. I do need something to put them on. What I've been doing at the moment is I've been storing them away in this cupboard here that's behind these monitors, and I've got a 2-tier stand that just sits on the carpet, and I just bring them out, pop them out, use them, put them away. It's kind of a pain because I'd like to keep a couple out permanently, at least, like maybe 2 or 3 out permanently. So you kind of have them over this side.
Actually, we need to ask Darren how his rebuild's coming along.
It's time I leave.
We're going to end the stream.
Birthday to celebrate.
We're going to end the stream. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's wow, it's nearly 1 a.m. here for me.
Blimey. Happy New Year, everybody, before I forget. And Henrik, nice to meet you. Just say that to you.
You too. And
Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Yeah. Take care, folks.
Happy New Year.
Bye.
Happy New Year, everyone.